Li Mei's Sword of Destiny. Chapter 1151. Leba initially wanted to convince himself that this was just an illusion. However, the gentle smile on Chu Qingyi's face was like a sharp knife stabbing into Leba's heart. Everyone knew that he was pursuing Chu Qingyi. This was especially so during this period of time. He had been helping Chu Qingyi to deal with Qin Wentian. But right now, Chu Qingyi was leaning on Qin Wentian, announcing to everyone that she was Qin Wentian's woman. What was going on? Leaving aside how many feelings Leba had for Chu Qingyi, just this act alone was enough to cause him to lose face. His countenance alternated between shades of green and purple, extremely unsightly to behold. Even the people from the Battle Saint tribe were stunned. Their faces were filled with astonishment as they stared at the Saint Lord and the woman beside him. They were all filled with admiration in their hearts. As expected of the Saint Lord, he was too powerful. Even this was possible? Qin Wentian's lips twitched. He initially wanted to use this method to deal a blow to Chu Qingyi and Leba, but he didn't expect Chu Qingyi to be so direct. He stared at the gentle look in Chu Qingyi's eyes as he transmitted his voice. What do you mean by this? Isn't this the situation you wanted to see? Since you want to use such a method to take revenge on me, I shall grant it to you. I heard that the person you like is also in the Sacred Academy, right? In this case, everyone would know of our relationship and you would also know what sort of person you are. Wouldn't this be very interesting? Chu Qingyi replied. Qin Wentian was incomparably depressed. He glanced at the surroundings and as expected, the gazes of everyone were filled with ridicule when they looked at him. He silently mused that this Qin Wentian was truly despicable enough, actually using such a method to torture and humiliate the holy maiden of the Snowdrift Sage Hall, Chu Qingyi. It was just that he didn't expect that the holy maiden of the Snowdrift Sage Hall would place so much importance on her reputation. Since she was already humiliated by him, she might as well follow him and admit that she was his woman. What a melodramatic story. However, given how beautiful Chu Qingyi was, that fellow Qin Wentian was truly lucky. During these days it was unknown what he did to the saintess, but this was enough to cause the imaginations of many to run wild. Qingyi. The experts from the Snowdrift Sage Hall were all stunned as they stared at Chu Qingyi. The misunderstanding in the past was my fault. Back then, I coveted his cultivation art and was defeated and humiliated by him. I only have myself to blame. I shouldn't have used his junior apprentice brother to take revenge. Let this matter end here. During these days I've also thought things through. Qin Wentian is a rare genius and I've finally found my Dao companion. Everyone should be congratulating me instead. Chu Qingyi smiled, as though she had completely turned over a new leaf. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with a faint light, wanting to see through Chu Qingyi's thoughts. However, he discovered that although Chu Qingyi still felt hatred towards him, she no longer had any killing intent towards him. This caused him to be speechless. Scram. Qin Wentian spoke. After that, he waved his hands, causing Chu Qingyi to fly towards the direction of the experts from the Snowdrift Sage Hall. He truly didn't want to have anything to do with this woman. Since you've admitted your mistake and turned over a new leaf, the torture I've given you during these days should be sufficient. I will spare you. If you dare to antagonize me again in the future, I will definitely not spare you. Qin Wentian coldly spoke. Why won't you spare me? I've already said that I'm your woman and you can do whatever you want to me. Could it be that you want to go back on your words? Chu Qingyi stared at Qin Wentian. Everyone was imagining that Qin Wentian had played with the Saintess Qingyi and wanted to abandon her. Are you crazy? Qin Wentian spat out. He was speechless as he spoke. Let's go. After speaking, he directly departed with the experts from the Battle Saint tribe. He didn't even have the mood to fight anymore. Leba and the others didn't chase after them. He was still staring at Chu Qingyi in a daze. Stepping out, he walked towards Chu Qingyi as he spoke. Qingyi, is what you said earlier true? What do you think? Chu Qingyi's beautiful eyes stared into the distance. Her gaze was cold as she spoke. Leba, many thanks for what you've done for me. But there's no need for you to interfere in this matter anymore. What he said is right. My matter should be resolved by myself. Leba didn't understand what Chu Qingyi meant by this. However, he only heard her coldly replying, fine. In the future I won't interfere in your matters. However, the matter between me and him is my own matter. I won't spare him." After speaking, Leba waved his hands and directly departed. The arrogant him seemed to have suffered a huge blow. On the altar, Qin Wentian's eyes opened as his consciousness returned to his body. He walked down the altar with a speechless expression on his face. Chu Qingyi's actions had truly exceeded his expectations. After stretching his body, Qin Wentian didn't think too much about it. The tempering in the sky-connecting realm allowed him to improve greatly. During combat, it was much easier for him to comprehend the various innate techniques and techniques he cultivated. Next, he would be able to comprehend them in detail. Nam Huang Yunxi and the others weren't around. Clearly, they were all busy with their own cultivation. Right now, it was unknown how many years they would be able to cultivate in the Sacred Academy. However, such an opportunity was something he had to grab hold of. Not only were there supreme geniuses from all over the immortal realms here, there were also many rare cultivation resources to aid them in their cultivation. With a flash of his silhouette, Qin Wentian left this place and headed towards the palace. After a long period of tempering himself, he would be able to observe the battles between immortal kings. He would definitely gain more insights and be more proficient in the usage of law energy. Qin Wentian made full use of every moment he had to improve himself. After entering the Sacred Academy, he rose from the 2nd level to the 4th level. Such a rate of improvement could be said to be godly. He had to do his best to raise his cultivation base in the Sacred Academy. At the very least, he wouldn't appear too weak when he exited the academy. At the same time, it would also shorten the time he had to pursue the immortal king realm. Those who entered the Sacred Academy didn't know that outside the Sacred Academy, there were countless gazes staring in the direction of the Sacred Academy. In the 9-tripod city, the gates of the Sacred Academy were still open. Even if the opening time was missed, as long as the number of slots in the Sacred Academy wasn't full, and if you had sufficient potential, you would still be able to enter the Immortal Sea. The various major powers of the immortal realms were all staring in the direction of the Sacred Academy. That wasn't merely a place to nurture geniuses. In the future, ancient emperors would most probably come from there. This time around, it was unknown how many people would break through from the Immortal King realm to the Immortal Emperor realm, and how many would break through from the peak of Immortal Foundation to the Immortal King realm. In the central regions, the 9 Emperors' Immortal State, the Ashi Sengoku Kingdom, the Senluo Immortal Empire, the Thunder God Hall, the Snowdrift Sage Hall, the One Shin Temple, the Evergreen Kingdom, the Immortal Qinbian Gate, the Beast God Sect, the Supreme Sword School, the Celestial Palace, the Taihua Empire, the various demon races in the western regions, the 3 ancient clans in the southern regions, the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom in the northern regions, and the Jadestige Immortal Palace. How many pairs of eyes were currently staring in the direction of the Sacred Academy? In the 18th year of the Sacred Academy, in the 4 Tiandao Sacred Academies, another sacred ground rose from the ground, appearing in the Sacred Academy. In each Tiandao Sacred Academy, a sacred ground appeared. Qin Wentian stood in the airspace of the ancient palace. Little Rascal was on his back while Purgatory quietly stood behind him. They stared at the horizons. The auspicious light from the sky illuminated the entire Sacred Academy, incomparably holy. In the air, the shadow of numerous sacred beasts appeared. The dragon and phoenix shadow floated in the air. The great rock was the feather. The Kirin and divine elephant guarded the entrance of the sacred ground. The vermilion bird was the eye. The divine turtle was the back. The shadows of these sacred beasts caused the hearts of people to tremble. Countless gazes turned over, staring at the sacred ground that just appeared. It would surely be an extraordinary place. Let's go. Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he sped towards the direction of the sacred ground. Not only him, all the experts in the Sacred Academy also saw the radiance of the sacred beasts. All of them moved towards the entrance of the sacred ground, bathing in the radiance. Right now, there were even more people entering the Sacred Academy compared to the past. The White Tiger people were still filled with hatred towards Qin Wentian and the others. Every time they met, their eyes would flicker with an intense baleful aura. Let's enter. Only to see more and more experts entering the sacred ground, bathing in the auspicious light. Qin Wentian and the others naturally weren't willing to fall behind. Their silhouettes flickered as they entered the sacred ground. The ancient and majestic Greater Demon Palace was akin to the palace of the demonic god. There were actually many statues of greater demons carved on the walls. Each statue was extremely lifelike and contained a terrifying divine charm. There were tens of thousands of greater demons here. Many of the demonic beasts who entered the sacred ground found their own kind. Qin Wentian's heart trembled. Seems like this sacred academy was truly a sacred academy prepared for greater demons. He came before a golden-winged great rock. The experts of the Tianpeng people were here as well. Qin Wentian stared at the statue of the great rock, staring into its eyes. After that, he actually faintly felt that this great rock seemed to have come to life. A terrifying pressure bore down on him, and in the next instant, Qin Wentian's consciousness seemed to have been stripped away. In the next instant, he saw the silhouette of a golden-winged great rock floating in the air. The eyes of this great rock were terrifying, containing a sharpness that could pierce through the hearts of others. Its entire body was forged from gold, and there were dazzling runic inscriptions on its wings. Boom! A bolt of lightning descended. Qin Wentian could barely see the movements of his opponent. His aura instantly erupted forth as he transformed into an invincible fiend god physique. He chanted mantras that contained boundless might. However, the wings of the golden-winged great rock slashed down, slicing through everything, instantly destroying the mantras and slashing towards his body. Qin Wentian's entire body shone with a terrifying divine brilliance, as runic light flowed around him. However, the speed of the golden-winged great rock was simply too fast. His wings were even faster and directly slashed down on Qin Wentian's fiend god physique. Slashing sounds rang out as Qin Wentian's invincible body was smashed into pieces. Qin Wentian was bleeding profusely as he frantically retreated. This was the first time he felt the might of a saint beast. The golden-winged great rock was simply too fast. Its wings slashed over, resembling the sharpest of golden blades. It was unknown how many times stronger it was compared to the ordinary experts of the Tianpeng people in the outside world. This was the will of the golden-winged great rock. Boom! A divine turtle appeared in the air as its saint-grade immortal foundation manifested a terrifying might. A moment later, a gigantic shadow of a divine turtle appeared, enveloping Qin Wentian as the wings of the great rock unceasingly slashed towards him. Qin Wentian roared loudly, blasting out God's hand. With a rumbling sound, the body of the golden-winged great rock shuddered and floated in the air, completely unharmed. Chapter 1152. Qin Wentian inclined his head. The cultivation base of this golden-winged rock was on the same level as him. It wasn't a true existence. When he was comprehending the statue, it directly entered his will. He had never fought against an expert on the same level as him with such difficulty before. This rock before him was like a true saint beast, possessing a perfect and pure bloodline, possessing the innate talent of a golden-winged rock. Each and every breath it took contained a fearsome might, and its eyes were like sharp blades that could pierce through the hearts of others. Not only that, its attacks and defenses were also incomparably tyrannical. Qin Wentian's gaze turned solemn as he released his perfect saint-grade immortal foundation. A moment later, boundless light enveloped this entire space. The wings of the golden-winged great rock that was floating in the air slowly flapped. The feeling it gave Qin Wentian wasn't the flapping of wings, but the sharpest immortal-ranked weapons that glowed with a unique light. Qi. The shadow of a great rock directly slashed downwards, aiming for Qin Wentian. Destroy. Qin Wentian released his body of truth, his countenance solemn. He chanted incantations as ancient characters floated in the air, slashing out. Above his perfect saint-grade immortal foundation, the shadow of an ancient halberd of destruction could be seen. Light flowed within the ancient character of destruction, causing the ancient characters to exude a destructive might that slammed into the shadow of the great rock. The wings of the golden-winged great rock flapped unceasingly. In an instant, countless shadows of great rocks slashed down, their might shaking the heavens. Qin Wentian's immortal foundation glowed with boundless light. Qin Wentian's lips moved as he hurriedly chanted incantations. The most important words he chanted were the words suppress and destroy. These two astral souls originated from the 7th and 8th layer, and their immortal foundation was strengthened by several times due to the rich attribute energy from their immortal foundation. In an instant, a resplendent scene appeared in this vast space. Numerous terrifying great rocks frenziedly slammed down, and countless ancient Buddhist characters floated in the air, protecting the area and destroying the shadows of the great rocks. The true body of the golden-winged rock moved. With a flap of his wings, he vanished from his original location, traversing through space as he slashed downwards. Qin Wentian closed his eyes as the third eye in the center of his brows opened. It could see through all illusions, capturing existences in the void, sensing the trajectories of space. At the same time, he unleashed the law energy from the center of his brows. He could sense a golden-winged rock traversing through space, instantly appearing before him. Without any hesitation, he blasted out a greater demon incantation from the treasured cauldron. An intense tremor rang out as the golden-winged rock vanished completely. In an instant it reappeared in another location. It was so fast that Qin Wentian could only use his third eye to see through all illusions to sense its existence. Rumbling sounds of destruction shook the entire space. The immortal energy of Qin Wentian's perfect immortal foundation flowed frenziedly. Every strike he unleashed could shake the heavens and earth, blasting the golden-winged rock back time and time again. At this moment, the body of the golden-winged rock expanded abruptly as it furiously inhaled. Its wings flapped violently, enveloping the entire space as a supreme demonic might descended, wanting to destroy everything in this space. Qin Wentian unleashed the strength of his physique to the extreme. He was like a fiend god standing there proudly. The space around him crumbled, but he didn't collapse. Amidst the chaotic currents of destruction, a fearsome golden claw grabbed towards Qin Wentian. It was incomparably gigantic, wanting to crush this entire space, making it impossible for him to evade. Boom! Abruptly the space changed. Qin Wentian actually transformed into a rock. His physique was terrifying, shining with a fiend god light. His sharp claws smashed out, containing a terrifying innate technique of the great rock, capable of destroying everything in this space. The claws of the two great rocks clashed together, forcing both sides to retreat. Their eyes were similarly filled with loftiness, their battle intent towering up into the sky. The two greater demons continued their battle, causing the heavens and earth to crumble apart. Qin Wentian was a human that transformed into a demon. He had a perfect immortal foundation and cultivated an ultimate innate technique, as well as a supreme physique. As for this golden-winged great rock, it was as though it was formed from the will of the purest golden-winged great rock. Its entire body was like an immortal ranked weapon, and it also had a perfect physique. Its speed was unparalleled, and its attacks were all the ultimate techniques of the golden-winged great rock, containing boundless might. After a long time, Qin Wentian, who was outside the statue, opened his eyes. His aura fluctuated as he stared at the statue, feeling shock in his heart. After fighting for so long, he was still defeated in the end. His will was destroyed. This battle of wills was originally a battle between Qin Wentian and the perfect golden-winged great rock. Even if he was unrivaled among stellar martial cultivators in the same cultivation realm, even if he could jump 2 levels and fight against the White Tiger royalty by Mao, he was still defeated in this battle. This indicated that right now, he still didn't possess the perfect combat prowess. If he fought against the pure-blooded golden-winged great rock, he would still be defeated even if they were at the same level. However, he wasn't too disappointed. That was the perfect will of the golden-winged great rock. His defeat proved that there was still room for improvement in his combat prowess. Glancing around, the experts from the Sky Rock race were also studying the will of this golden-winged rock. This was a king of their race. The other experts all had dispirited looks on their faces, as though they had suffered a heavy blow. If every single statue here contained the will of a greater demon, this place would undoubtedly be a holy ground for tempering one's combat prowess. This was especially so for those demonic beasts. It would be even better for them to temper themselves. Qin Wentian walked towards another statue. This was the statue of a Zhenhou. He was preparing to fight against the 8 greater demons in the cauldron. By fighting against these greater demons, he would be able to comprehend the 8 innate techniques more deeply. Just like when he fought against the golden-winged great rock earlier, he could clearly sense that the might of the innate techniques could still be improved. Demonic dragon, great rock, black tortoise, divine elephant, vermilion bird, Qilin, Zhenhou chaos. Qin Wentian found the statues of the 8 greater demons to fight against. Just like the first battle, these greater demons seemed to have the purest and perfect bloodline. They contained innate talents and could be said to be extremely terrifying. Although Qin Wentian was able to fight against them, in the end he was still defeated in consecutive battles. After the battle, Qin Wentian continued to comprehend and cultivate, making progress bit by bit. After that, Qin Wentian fought against other greater demons. Although they were not powerful sacred beasts, they still had extraordinary abilities, which subverted Qin Wentian's understanding. For example, even demonic wolves and black eagles, when they had the purest bloodline, were equally powerful and terrifying. This seemed to prove that any demonic beast that cultivated to the extreme would be terrifying. However, Qin Wentian finally had a victory. Although they were all pure-blooded greater demons, sacred beasts had an innate advantage. Such innate talent was very difficult to surpass in the world of demonic beasts. At this moment, Qin Wentian arrived at the end of these statues. In front of him was a scarlet river of blood, within which the shadow of tens of thousands of demons could be seen. It was extremely terrifying. Not long after they entered this place, there were already greater demons who tried to enter. In an instant, they were swallowed by the blood-colored greater demons in the blood river, leaving not even their bones behind. This confirmed the voice that appeared in their minds when they first stepped into this holy land. In here, killing was forbidden, but life and death were determined by fate. This blood-colored demon river could devour all life. In this blood river, there were already several figures. For example, demonic lions, fire-eyed berserk apes, and other tyrannical demonic beasts were currently struggling in the blood river. Qin Wentian saw that even the demonic lions had expressions of extreme pain on their faces, as though they could be devoured at any moment. Blood-colored light enveloped them, bit by bit, as the blood-colored light seeped into their bodies. There were even many demonic beasts who let out miserable howls. Even in their true forms, their skin was being nibbled away bit by bit. Qin Wentian saw that in the blood river, there was a tyrannical greater demon that was gradually turned into a skeleton. After that, even his skeleton was drowned by the blood river. Who? Qin Wentian let out a deep breath. Where did the fear in his heart come from? The greatest danger was also the greatest opportunity. He took a step forward and directly stepped into the surging blood river. Back then, he was able to withstand the light of the sacred luminance. Given how terrifying his body was now, why would he be afraid of the demonic blood here? In an instant, Qin Wentian was drowned in the river of blood. In an instant, he felt as though his body was about to be torn apart. Bits of bloody light seeped into his body, wanting to replace the blood in his body and corrode his original bloodline. Qin Wentian let out a low-sounding roar, as an expression of extreme agony appeared on his face. In this blood river, all sorts of energy was useless. Even his perfect and flawless physique was easily corroded. This was a world of blood, and with every drop of blood, Qin Wentian felt as though a blood-colored greater demon was about to devour him whole, wanting to devour him in a single gulp. Qin Wentian felt that doomsday was coming. Would he really die? Am I really dead? Qin Wentian mused in his heart. Since he had consciousness, he naturally wasn't dead. He couldn't die either. As he thought of this, that terrifying tearing pain was still there. Those blood-colored greater demons continued to devour him, wanting to torture and destroy his will. However, Qin Wentian knew what he had to do at this moment. This strand of wool must not be extinguished. This pain continued for a very, very long time, so long that Qin Wentian forgot time. His will resisted the pain. As long as his consciousness wasn't destroyed, he wouldn't die. As for those figures that were being devoured, even this strand of wool wouldn't be able to protect them. After an unknown period of time, this strand of wool seemed to have grown stronger. He actually wanted to use the eye of truth that could see through all illusions. At this moment he had a strange feeling. There was no sea of blood in this world, nor were there any blood-colored greater demons. There were only droplets of fresh blood dripping down there, and each droplet contained a terrifying power. Qin Wentian's consciousness gradually returned as a heart-wrenching, lung-splitting pain assaulted his senses. With a howl of rage, the blood in his body churned and churned. To his horror, he discovered that right now, There were actually two different types of terrifying blood energy clashing against each other. As his blood was being nibbled away bit by bit, a mysterious and terrifying energy seemed to have awakened within him. His body also seemed to have transformed into a sea of blood. Blood-colored greater demons bared their fangs and brandished their claws, wanting to devour his blood. But at this moment all of them quietened down. In the center of the sea of blood, a blood-colored light floated there. The blood-colored greater demons in the surroundings all had expressions of fear on their faces, not daring to move forward. So it turns out that the power in my body has never been truly unearthed, Qin Wentian mumbled. He broke the shackles again and again, feeling the power of his bloodline. But it seemed that the blood-colored light floating in the sea of blood only needed a single drop to devour the entire sea of blood. Chapter 1153. Qin Wentian had long known that the bloodline in his body was exceedingly tyrannical, but he also understood that as his strength grew, the power hidden within his bloodline would slowly be awakened. This power had been with him since birth, but it didn't mean that he could unleash it as he wished. This was like cultivating an ultimate art of an ancient emperor. For example, God's hand. How strong would the true God's hand be? Qin Wentian basically didn't dare to imagine. He clearly cultivated it, but the power he could tap out from it was only an extremely small portion. He didn't have enough strength to fully tap out the full power of God's hand. It was the same as how he didn't have enough strength to tap out the power of his bloodline. His bloodline was the same as God's hand. It was there, growing stronger and stronger as he grew. Right now, he could only tap out an extremely small portion of its power. The blood sea grew more and more terrifying. It was as though the blood river in the sacred ground had some unwillingness to give up. It surged towards the blood-colored light in Qin Wentian's body, as though the strongest power of the blood sea had been stimulated. That blood-colored halo was still as resplendent as ever, and there was a faint shadow of a demon god within it, devouring the power of the blood sea bit by bit, merging it with his bloodline, becoming a part of it. Gradually, that blood-colored light transformed into the silhouette of Qin Wentian. However, it was also like the silhouette of a demon god, with the appearance of Qin Wentian. It was like he could use the protection of his bloodline. This demon god stood proudly in the air, causing the entire space to be dyed the color of blood. Below him, howling blood-colored vortexes could be seen, wanting to engulf this entire world. This was originally a world of blood. Qin Wentian didn't know what the others had experienced, but he knew that his experience was definitely different from theirs. However, he could faintly sense that this blood sea was formed from droplets of incomparably powerful greater demon blood. Every drop of blood, every piece of bone, and even every inch of skin of a truly terrifying powerhouse contained a frightening amount of power. Immortal kings were the embodiment of laws. One could very well imagine that their blood and bones themselves were the embodiment of laws. In that case, what about even stronger existences? Perhaps the blood river in this sacred ground was a gift prepared for those greater demons. The tens of thousands of greater demon statues could temper their combat prowess, and the blood river could reforge their bloodlines. Naturally, the prerequisite was that you had to be strong enough. If not, you would end up like some other experts, directly being devoured by the blood river until not even your bones remained. The weak died and the strong became stronger. Qin Wentian had completely forgotten the passage of time. More and more people stepped into the blood river. By the side of the river, many experts were staring at the silhouettes in the blood river. There were already quite a number of experts who had been devoured by the blood river. This caused some humans and demons who knew that their talents were weak to not dare to step into the blood river. They stared at the silhouettes that were enveloped by the blood river, their bodies glowing with blood-colored light, as well as the greater demons that had transformed into their true forms. Could it be that this blood river was able to strengthen the bloodline of demons? The bloodline of a greater demon would naturally be able to grow stronger. Just like immortal foundations, even if one maintained a fourth-tier king-grade immortal foundation, as their cultivation base grew stronger, the power of their immortal foundation would also grow stronger. It was the same for bloodlines as well. Naturally, immortal foundations could still be upgraded. Bloodlines could be upgraded as well, but because bloodlines were innate, it was much harder to upgrade one's bloodline compared to upgrading one's immortal foundation. Those powerful greater demons, When they come out from the blood river, they would surely become even more terrifying. Many people silently mused. This Tiandao Sacred Academy that caused a huge commotion in the immortal realms truly didn't disappoint them. However, only humans and demons with the highest talent and will would be able to seize this opportunity. Tiandao Sacred Academy opened on the 18th year. Tiandao Sacred Academy on the 21st year. Qin Wentian was still in the blood river. The blood-colored world seemed to have fused into one. Qin Wentian had always been trying to control that strand of truly powerful bloodline energy. However, even after trying for a very long time, he still had no way to do so. That drop of blood might very well be the embodiment of law energy. Only when he truly transformed into law energy would he be able to control it. Right now, although this strand of blood was able to increase his strength once again, Qin Wentian was thinking that if he could take the initiative to control it, he might be able to obtain even greater good fortune. He tried for a very long time, yet he still failed time and time again. Because of the blood river, he could clearly sense the location of that strand of powerful bloodline energy. It felt as though it was within his reach, but when he stretched out his hand, he couldn't touch it. Such a feeling caused him to feel extremely uncomfortable, but he still didn't give up on trying. With the aid of the blood river, if he couldn't borrow that strand of energy, it was very likely that he would need a very long time before he would be able to obtain that strand of energy. When he was strong enough, even if the corresponding bloodline energy became stronger, there would still be a limit to it. For example, although the fiend transformation art as well as the immortal vanquishing swordplay were still able to increase his strength, the aid they provided was no longer comparable to the past. When one was at a lower cultivation realm, they would be able to obtain a power that they couldn't control. Although that power was dangerous, it was still able to grant them a terrifying boost in strength. Such a strong conviction caused Qin Wentian to continue working hard. Even if his head was about to split open, and his will was on the verge of collapsing, he still continued trying, wanting to unravel the illusory shackles of his bloodline, unlocking the secrets within. Even if the purpose of the shackles was to protect him. 22nd year in Tiandao Sacred Academy. The blood in Qin Wentian's body seemed to have fused together, circulating frenziedly and roaring. The power of the blood river could no longer affect Qin Wentian, but he still didn't give up. That terrifying bloodline shackle seemed to have locked onto Qin Wentian's will. He frenziedly struggled free, and today, accompanied by a shattering sound, the power of his bloodline transformed into an uncontrollable blood-colored world, engulfing everything, even rushing into Qin Wentian's sea of consciousness. At this instant, Qin Wentian's body seemed to be expanding. The blood river around him churned violently as a demonic god appeared, enveloping Qin Wentian. He let out a howl of agony. The pain he felt was even more intense compared to the baptism of the blood river in the past. The power of his bloodline wanted to destroy everything. This power gushed into his immortal foundation, causing his perfect saint-grade immortal foundation to tremble. The blood-colored light corroded it as a fearsome immortal might gushed forth. Boundless immortal energy gushed forth, as though his immortal foundation was on the verge of shattering. It's over. I didn't expect he would die here. He's dead for sure. After persisting for so many years, I initially thought he would be able to survive. Who would have thought that he wouldn't be able to endure it in the end? A low-sounding roar rang out. Several experts from the White Tiger people gleamed with coldness. Qin Wentian struggled and howled in the blood river, as though he would die at any moment. Nam Huang Yunxi, who was in the blood river, was jolted awake by Qin Wentian's voice. She had been undergoing the baptism of the blood river, not too far away from Qin Wentian. When she saw Qin Wentian's appearance, she moved towards Qin Wentian's body. However, that terrifying energy made it so that she had no way to get close to him. Purgatory originally returned to the shore. It was as though she sensed something. She rushed over from the direction of a statue and directly leaped into the blood river. She transformed into a vermilion bird and sped towards Qin Wentian. The sharp claws of the vermilion bird swiped at Qin Wentian's body. However, that terrifying demonic phantom directly flung her through the air, almost causing her to vomit. Her eyes were filled with anxiety as she tried to rush out once more. However, she was flung back time and time again. Nam Huang Yunxi was similarly anxious. She had no way to get close to Qin Wentian. Only when Qin Wentian's roars gradually died down did he actually faint. However, his body wasn't melted by the blood river. Nam Huang Yunxi arrived before Qin Wentian. She carried him and directly rushed out of the blood river. During these few years, she had already familiarized herself with the power of the blood river. Hence, there was a limit to how much she would be affected by it. Purgatory followed beside her. The two of them supported Qin Wentian's body to the side. At this moment, they discovered that Qin Wentian's strength seemed to have been completely exhausted as he fainted. How can this be? A puzzled expression appeared on Nam Huang Yunxi's face. How tenacious! A figure walked over exuding a fearsome baleful aura. This was none other than Bai Mao. He stared at Qin Wentian as killing intent flashed in his eyes. The rules of this place do not permit fighting. Purgatory turned, her eyes were like ice as she stared at Bai Mao. Bai Mao's eyes flashed. The Tiandao Sacred Academy was mysterious and incomparably tyrannical. The longer he stayed here, the more respect he had for them. He glanced at Purgatory and Nam Huang Yunxi as he coldly laughed. The two of you will definitely become the female slaves of our white tiger people. Scram. An expert from the Battle Saint tribe walked over, speaking to Bai Mao. Bai Mao's baleful aura gushed forth as his killing intent surged. However, he still turned and departed, continuing his cultivation. Several days later, Qin Wentian finally woke up. When he opened his eyes, he saw the beautiful countenances of Nam Huang Yunxi and Purgatory as a smile involuntarily appeared on his face. Seeing how Qin Wentian could still smile, Nam Huang Yunxi coldly spoke. What did you do exactly? You can still smile? The moment I opened my eyes, I was able to admire these two beauties. How can I not smile? Qin Wentian joked. After surviving a great calamity, there's bound to be good fortune waiting for me. I've thought about the possibility of a backlash, but I didn't expect it to be so intense. Seems like good fortune and danger coexist. Luckily, I managed to persevere. My immortal foundation and fleshly body are both not bad. If not, I might really have died in the blood river this time around. But the benefits I obtained are similarly not little. Although I might still suffer a backlash, at least I know that I won't die. Nam Huang Yunxi glared fiercely at this fellow. At this moment he actually spoke in such a relaxed manner. It was as though he might do such a thing again in the future. He simply didn't want his life anymore. Although I don't know what you did, you took such a risk. If you really died, have you thought about the people around you? Nam Huang Yunxi spoke. If I die, would Holy Maiden Yunxi be sad? Qin Wentian joked when he heard Nam Huang Yunxi's words. I don't care about your death. I'm just afraid that Princess Qing'er would be sad. Nam Huang Yunxi coldly spoke, her words causing Qin Wentian to roll his eyes. He crawled up wanting to walk away. You don't want to recover? Do you not want your life anymore? Don't worry, my recovery abilities have always been strong. Also, when I stared at the statue, I only needed to battle with my will. Back then when I fought against these saint beasts, I was defeated time and time again. This time around I should be able to win. Qin Wentian laughed as he walked to the side of the golden-winged rock. After which, he stared at the statue and entered the battlefield of will. The terrifying golden-winged rock was akin to the sovereign of the heavens, peering down at everything. A human and a demon instantly clashed. Right now the bloodline in Qin Wentian's body was even more powerful than before, exuding a tyrannical aura. It was as though his demonic attribute was even more terrifying than before. Other than this, his innate techniques and innate techniques of the 8 greater demons were even more proficient. Their might was boundless as he fought against the golden-winged rock, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. The him now could even comprehend the combat style of the golden-winged rock and apply it to himself. Sadly, he was still defeated in the end. Although he was depressed, Qin Wentian wasn't too disappointed. He was very clear on what he obtained from the blood river. Also, this battle allowed him to understand even more clearly. Not only that, he was very clear in his heart that once he unleashed that innate technique against demonic beasts at the same level as him, even if it was a golden-winged rock, he would still be able to kill it effortlessly. In the 23rd year of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, Qin Wentian defeated the golden-winged rock. The innate techniques and innate techniques of the golden-winged rock he cultivated were akin to the attacks of a true golden-winged rock, containing boundless might. This year, he began his path of sweeping through all the saint beasts, and also cultivated some of the abilities of these saint beasts. Chapter 1154. During the 24th year of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, none of the greater demons in this sacred ground could defeat Qin Wentian. Today the bell chimes rang out. The time for the Tao lecture of the Sacred Academy had arrived. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness. The experts here all halted their steps. Those who were still cultivating in this sacred ground turned their gazes to the outside. After that they lifted their feet and walked out. Although this was a sacred ground for tempering oneself, it didn't affect their determination to listen to the Tao lecture of the Sacred Academy. The Tao lecture of the Sacred Academy that was held once every 12 years was undoubtedly a day that none of them could miss out on. During the Tao lecture of the Sacred Academy, many of them broke through, and even if they failed to do so, they still benefited greatly from it. Not only in terms of cultivation, it also had a great impact on their souls and horizons. The Tao lecture of the Sacred Academy was sufficient to allow them to continue comprehending the Tao. It would accompany them on their path of cultivation, helping them along. All of these were formless, invisible, and untouchable. Even for those geniuses who missed out on the first Tao lecture of the Sacred Academy, when they saw the solemn expressions on the faces of these geniuses walking towards the direction of the Sacred Academy, they couldn't help but feel something in their hearts. After that, a voice rang out in their minds. The time limit of 12 years has arrived. The Tao lecture of the Sacred Academy is about to begin. Qin Wentian, Little Rascal, Purgatory, the experts from the Battle Saint tribe and the Namhuang clan all gathered together. Their strengths all had different improvements. Not only for them during the 24th year of the Sacred Academy, for those who entered the Sacred Academy and didn't die, all of them had great improvements, transforming bit by bit. There were a total of 4 Tiandao Sacred Academies. Right now, there were already close to 10,000 people who joined the Sacred Academy. These people were all the most outstanding Immortal Foundation experts in the immortal realms. Although there were many geniuses who came from faraway places or because of some important matters, it was undeniable that these geniuses in Tiandao Sacred Academy could already represent the most outstanding Immortal Foundation geniuses. At the foot of the misty ancient peak, in front of the staircase, numerous silhouettes stood there. Compared to 12 years ago, the number of people who came here this time was much greater. Naturally, they were the people who had crossed the Immortal Sea to enter the Sacred Academy in the past 12 years. After seeing everything in the Sacred Academy, they all silently cursed themselves for not crossing the Immortal Sea earlier, causing them to miss out on so much time. The time in the Sacred Academy was definitely extremely precious. The Tao lecture in the Sacred Academy is held once every 12 years. In that case, there should be many geniuses who have heard of the Tao lecture in the Sacred Academy. Seeing the solemn expressions on everyone's faces, I believe that this lecture must be extraordinary. I wonder if there's anyone who is willing to dispel the doubts of those who came later? What's so special about the Tao lecture in the Sacred Academy exactly? Someone spoke. 12 years ago, after the Tao lecture in the Sacred Academy, there were some who comprehended for half a year, some who comprehended for a year, and some who comprehended for 3 years. During that lecture, leaving aside the changes in one's state of heart and vision, just based on one's cultivation base alone, out of over 1,000 people, about 100 or so broke through to the next level. The exact number should be even higher. A person replied, his words causing those who missed the lecture to feel deep veneration for him. They knew very well how difficult it was to break through to the Immortal Foundation realm. A single lecture actually resulted in over 100 breakthroughs. How terrifying was this? Also, according to the voice, this was merely an increase in cultivation base. There was also the increase in one's state of heart and vision. The person giving the lecture must be an extraordinary expert, right? Someone mumbled in a low voice. Even in the vast immortal realms, it might be hard to find such a character. A person sighed as he lifted his foot and walked up the stairs. Back then, after the Tao lecture in the Sacred Academy, as expected, these people were filled with even more reverence for the Tao lectures. Even those prideful greater demons were no exception. The people who came later were both curious and silently regretting that they missed this chance. They ascended the stairs, their footsteps were extremely quick, as though they couldn't wait any longer. Qin Wentian also had a solemn expression on his face. He and the other experts from the Namhuang clan also ascended the stairs, but they weren't in a hurry. Back then, Qin Wentian casually chose a seat within the first 10 rows, and after the lecture ended, he chose to sit in the lead seat. The position wasn't that important after all. It was still a statue with 3,000 immortal seats. Those who came later actually didn't have much reverence in their hearts as they directly rushed towards the lead seat. Although this expert was extraordinary, his ending was already determined. He was blasted down. 12 years ago, no one was able to sit in the lead seat. This time around, it was unknown if Jia Nantian and the demonic lion would be able to sit in it. During the Tao lecture in the Sacred Academy, no one was able to sit in the lead seat. Now that the Tao lecture has started again, those who came later actually wanted to sit in the lead seat. What a fool's dream. A cold voice rang out. Speaking of the lead seat, Qin Wentian actually appeared in that position earlier. At the back of the crowd, a voice rang out, causing the gazes of everyone to turn to Qin Wentian. However, this voice wasn't spoken by Qin Wentian or those around him. On the contrary, it was spoken by an expert from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom, who had a grudge against Qin Wentian. Although this sentence sounded like praise, it also pushed Qin Wentian to the limelight of everyone. A 4th-level immortal foundation human with extraordinary talent. The amount of time he took to comprehend Tao insights surpassed all the greater demons and humans back then, allowing him to sit in the lead seat. The crowd wouldn't feel reverence for him because of this. On the contrary, they would feel unconvinced and even targeted him. Naturally, there might also be traces of jealousy in their hearts. Regardless of humans or demonic beasts, this was the innate nature of most people. This was especially so for these extremely arrogant heaven chosen. If they also had a grudge against Qin Wentian, their enmity would naturally be magnified. Hence, Bai Mao's eyes were filled with baleful intent as he glanced at Qin Wentian. Coldly, he spoke. If it wasn't for the 2 women beside him, the person who managed to sit in the lead seat for some unknown reason might have already turned into a pool of blood a few years ago. Not even his bones would be left behind. For such a person, what kind of luck does he need to be able to sit in that position again? Qin Wentian naturally understood which time Bai Mao was referring to. If there wasn't the rules of the Sacred Academy, Qin Wentian believed that Bai Mao definitely wouldn't give up such a good opportunity to deal with him. In that case, killing white tigers, roasting white tiger meat, and battling with you is also luck on my side. On the life and death arena, the white tiger people spared no effort to take my life, yet 2 of them were slaughtered. It seems like my luck is really not bad. Qin Wentian spoke calmly and sarcastically. Instantly, the white tiger roared, and a violent baleful aura blasted out. However, in front of the 3,000 seats of the Sacred Academy, he still didn't dare to be impudent. Pairs of cold eyes fell on Qin Wentian. That battle on the life and death arena was the eternal humiliation of the white tiger people. Your talent isn't bad, especially your combat prowess. However, killing 2 ordinary white tigers isn't something you can be proud of. If it wasn't for the fact that there were some people protecting you in this Sacred Academy, given your arrogant attitude and your low cultivation base, there would be no space for you to survive. Hence, in the future, you better not let me see you feasting on demonic beast meat. Even if it's those fools from the white tiger people, I still can't stand it. An arrogant voice rang out. Beside the golden-winged great rock Jia Nantian, a young man with golden eyes could be seen. He was very arrogant, so arrogant that his eyes didn't even bother to look at Qin Wentian. Instead, he was staring at the 3,000 seats in front of him. Also, his cultivation base was very high. He was a 9th-level Immortal Foundation expert of the Tianpeng people. From a certain perspective, he did indeed have the qualifications to teach Qin Wentian a lesson. Because he was strong, he believed that there wouldn't be too many among the 2,000-plus people in this Sacred Academy who could defeat him. This was especially so after experiencing the power of the Sacred Academy for so many years. He had grown even stronger and could faintly sense that he was about to touch upon the threshold of the Immortal Foundation realm. A single sentence from him not only threatened Qin Wentian, he also insulted the white tiger people for being a bunch of fools. This wasn't an ordinary level of arrogance. Qin Wentian could understand the unhappiness of the other party. Because he was a demon, and as for Qin Wentian, he had roasted a greater white tiger in front of these greater demons. However, Qin Wentian's understanding didn't mean that he agreed. Hence, he coldly replied, I believe that when the white tiger people used humans as slaves, spitting out vulgar words and saying that they wanted to kill humans, you wouldn't be unhappy, right? Naturally. That great rock turned his gaze over, staring at Qin Wentian. His golden eyes gleamed with sharpness, causing the eyes of everyone to flicker. Qin Wentian had already offended the white tiger people. If he offended the Tianpeng people as well, things wouldn't end well for him. Especially in this sacred academy, the strength of the Tianpeng people seemed to be even stronger compared to the white tiger people. I'm sure there are many things that you don't like. Qin Wentian laughed. That's right. For example, 12 years ago when you sat in the lead seat, I didn't like it at all. You are not worthy of that position. His gaze turned to the golden-winged great rock before him, Jia Nantian. He was the king of the Tianpeng people of this generation. In his eyes, no human or demon would be more suitable than Jia Nantian for that position. Initially, I had no intention of sitting in that position, but the most suitable position just so happened to appear there. This originally wasn't something I wanted, it was something that happened naturally. Even if I ended up sitting there, there would naturally be a reason for me to do so. If you feel that I'm not worthy, what does that count for? Qin Wentian asked. Is it merely my opinion? That expert faintly spoke. Qin Wentian turned his gaze to everyone. The 3,000 immortal seats were right ahead. Yet no one was in a hurry to sit on them. After all, they knew that it wasn't so easy to sit on them. As for those who missed out on the opportunity 12 years ago, they needed to see the situation more clearly. Countless gazes landed on Qin Wentian. The experts around Qin Wentian all had expressions of anger on their faces, but this didn't change the minds of everyone. Indeed, from the perspective of many humans and demonic beasts, no matter how strong Qin Wentian's combat prowess was, he still didn't have the qualifications to sit on the lead seat. Qin Wentian suddenly laughed. Sometimes, even if you don't want to fight, there would still be people who would force you to. This fight wasn't merely to fight for an immortal seat, it was also to fight for pride. He slowly walked forward, moving towards the 3,000 immortal seats. With his back facing everyone, he spoke. I originally had no intentions of competing for the lead seat. However, since you feel that I'm not worthy, I want to see for myself if I'm worthy or not. Although this might make you unhappy, but whether you are unhappy or not, it's none of my business. As he spoke, Qin Wentian gradually walked towards the lead seat. The experts from Tianpeng people wanted to move, but Jia Nantian blocked them. Everyone stared at Qin Wentian, as though they wanted to see how he would make a fool out of himself. 12 years ago, many people wanted to sit on the lead seat but failed. Today, if I were to walk up and sit down, many of you would definitely say that today, 12 years later, I'm not the only one who has the qualifications to sit on the lead seat. However, I don't mind what you all think. Because of your pride, I just want to tell you that when I want this seat, it would no longer have anything to do with you. Qin Wentian indifferently stated as he walked to the leader's seat. How arrogant was his voice. After he finished speaking, he stepped onto the leader's seat. Chapter 1155. Qin Wentian stood on the lead seat. He was the first person to do so. Not only that, he was the first to sit on this seat 12 years ago. Overestimating your capabilities, an expert from the Tianpeng people beside Jia Nantian mocked. 12 years ago, no one could sit on this seat. Even their king Jia Nantian couldn't sit on it. Could it be that this young man could be compared to Jia Nantian or the devil lion from 12 years ago? Let alone humans, even demons, I've never seen someone so arrogant before. An expert from the white tiger people coldly spoke. With such arrogance, how much humiliation would it be when he is forced down from the seat later? Even if he is forced down, he is still a heaven chosen who killed your white tiger people, jumping 2 levels to fight against your white tiger people without losing. As for you guys, you don't even dare to retort after being insulted by others. In fact, you guys don't even have the courage to fight for the lead seat. I really wonder where you guys got the courage to humiliate him. The white tiger people might have strong defenses, but the thickest part of them should be their faces. A holy maiden from the Namhuang clan coldly spoke. Both sides were still arguing with each other, exuding a cold intent. However, the gazes of everyone were all on the lead seat. The astral light from the seat enveloped Qin Wentian as a painting appeared in the air. Within the painting, Qin Wentian stood on a vast land, resisting against the might of the heavenly Tao. He was as tiny and insignificant as an ant. They involuntarily thought back to the scene 12 years ago, when Jianantian fought against the might of the heavenly Tao. The great rock flapped its wings, wanting to slash apart the heavenly Tao. Sadly, after a terrifying battle, it still failed in the end. Today, the tiny and insignificant Qin Wentian really wanted to accomplish what Jianantian failed to do back then. Right now, Qin Wentian's state of mind was no longer focused on his true body. A strand of his will descended upon the space within the painting, causing the might of the heavenly Tao to crush down. Who under the heavens would be able to resist? However, right now, Qin Wentian's strength was also incomparably tyrannical. As long as he willed it, he could transform his body into law energy. Boom! Qin Wentian soared up into the air, his entire body flowing with divine light, illuminating the world. He transformed into law energy, and with a lift of his hand, he could destroy the heavens and earth. The hand of a divinity was like the vault of the heavens, wanting to shake the heavenly das. But under the power of his law energy, all lives could only grovel in submission. Resplendent light flashed in the sky. Qin Wentian actually transformed into an incomparably gigantic golden-winged great rock. His wings slashed towards the heavenly Tao. His wings seemed to be able to slash apart the heavens. When his claws slashed out, countless golden-winged great rocks slashed out, clashing against the law energy of the heavenly Tao. In this entire space, only the arrogance of the great rocks could be heard. The eyes of that expert from the sky rock race flashed with sharpness. Although Qin Wentian had the power to shatter the heavens, he still had no way to break apart the heavenly das. Qin Wentian's treasured arts were all extremely powerful, and could even shake the heavenly das. Yet, he still had no way to break apart the heavenly das. Only by truly experiencing it would one know how strong it was. Qin Wentian stood on the ground. He transformed into a million-zhang giant, towering between heaven and earth. Just by standing there, he was the law energy. The boundless power of heaven and earth was at his disposal. Within his body, a peerless demonic light shone, enveloping his body. Under the power of the heavenly Tao, no law energy could escape the fate of being destroyed. If one wanted to break through the heavens, the only way was to break through bolder and stronger than the heavenly Tao. Qin Wentian's entire body glowed with a dark golden light, as he transformed into a god of destruction. Demonic light enveloped him as the destructive might he exuded rose to the extreme, causing the entire sky to darken. The silhouettes of numerous greater demons appeared in this world, radiating boundless light as they exuded destruction. In the painting, the destructive energy of heaven and earth towered up into the sky, blasting towards the heavenly might. In an instant, the scene of the end of the world appeared. The heavens and earth split apart as darkness appeared. The heavenly might was broken apart, and after that, an incomparably resplendent starry sky appeared above the heavenly might. Qin Wentian's body was bathed in astral light. The painting vanished, and the astral light from the lead seat returned to a state of calmness. Qin Wentian quietly sat there. Before the 3,000 immortal seats, the experts were all silent. It was unknown if it was because of the battle in the painting, or because Qin Wentian was able to sit so stably on the lead seat. 12 years ago, there was no one in the lead seat. There was no way for greater demons to sit on it. 12 years later, the human Wuxiu, Qin Wentian, with his cultivation base at the 4th level of Immortal Foundation, sat on the lead seat and listened to the lecture of the Sacred Academy. Because of your pride, I only want to tell you that when I want this seat, it has nothing to do with you guys anymore. Many people recalled the voice of Qin Wentian earlier. Staring at his back, they silently mused that Qin Wentian was truly an arrogant person. Naturally, he did have the qualifications to be arrogant. The experts of the White Tiger people turned ashen. That young man who feasted on the White Tiger meat once again used his actions to humiliate them. The despicable human in their mouths had once again slapped the faces of the White Tiger people. The experts beside Jianantian also had dark expressions on their faces as they stared at this scene with disbelief. To think that Qin Wentian actually sat on the lead seat. As for those experts from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom who wanted to sow discord earlier, they all felt extremely angry in their hearts. They initially wanted to see Qin Wentian make a fool of himself, causing more people to target him. But who would have thought that Qin Wentian would retaliate in such a domineering manner? This caused their thoughts to seem extremely dirty. Over 2,000 experts all had different expressions on their faces. Jian Antian stepped out. His improvement during these 12 years wasn't small, and he initially wanted to try and become the lead seat again. However, he didn't expect that he would encounter such a ridiculous situation. His tribesmen angered Qin Wentian, causing him to go and fight for the lead seat. And as for Qin Wentian, he really succeeded. In that case, since the lead seat was already occupied, he could only fight for the second row just like before. His silhouette flashed as he stepped onto the left seat of the second row. The demonic lion also flashed and stepped onto the right seat of the second row. Their seats were exactly the same as 12 years ago. It was just that right now, there was an additional person in front of them. The experts all stepped out one after another. The competition for the immortal seats was as intense as ever. Out of the 3,000 seats, over 2,000 had already been occupied. Gradually, everyone quietened down as they sat on their seats, waiting for the lecture of the Sacred Academy to begin. Closing their eyes, astral light flashed as their consciousnesses appeared in the starry space. That ethereal figure once again appeared before everyone. Everyone sat there and bowed slightly, indicating their respect. Today, I'm very gratified that the lead seat is occupied. That ethereal voice smiled. After that, he continued, is the heavens higher than the humans, or is the humans higher than the heavens? This voice was too profound. This sudden sentence caused everyone to sink into silence. No one dared to speak. The lead seat contended against the heavens. Could it be that he wanted to ask if the heavens were taller than the humans, or was the humans taller than the heavens? The so-called humans naturally included all the greater demons. They were all seated here in human form. Is there no one who can answer? That figure asked again. What is the heavens? Jian Antian suddenly asked. The heavens are the heavens. The ethereal voice laughed but didn't explain. I've cultivated in a particle world before, and I also know that in the surroundings of the immortal realms, there are countless particle worlds. The life forms in each particle world, because their cultivation bases are weak, they all feel that the heavens are supreme and unreachable. However, for those who enter the immortal realm, they can actually break through the restrictions of particle worlds and enter the immortal realms. Hence, I feel that the heavens are nothing but an illusory thing in our imaginations. It originally doesn't exist, or maybe it's just the supreme law of a certain world. Qin Wentian slowly spoke. If this is the case, your cultivation base is weaker than the heavens, but the heavens are naturally taller than the humans. If your cultivation base is stronger than the heavens, the humans are taller than the heavens. Continue. The ethereal voice laughed as he stared at Qin Wentian. Senior said 12 years ago that stellar martial cultivators have to comprehend, use, transform into, and create laws. If the heavens itself is a type of order, humans should be able to learn from it when they are weak. But when they reach a certain level of strength, they should be able to change from learning to breaking or creating. Qin Wentian nodded. What you said is correct. The ethereal voice laughed. In truth, since you described the heavens as a type of law, there are two different concepts, broad and narrow. If we look at it from a broad perspective, the countless worlds in the starry space all have their own laws of operation. Could it be that these laws were created by humans? In that case, were humans the ones who created the worlds, or were the worlds the ones who gave birth to humans? Junior has no idea. Qin Wentian shook his head and smiled bitterly. This question was too profound. Most probably, only those who stood at the peak of the boundless starry space would have the qualifications to explore it. I have no idea as well. The ethereal figure smiled. However, it's not bad that you're able to understand so much. I'll take you to a place to experience it. Perhaps you'll be able to gain a deeper understanding. Having more of your own insights will be beneficial to your future cultivation. Beams of intense astral light enveloped everyone. That beam of light seemed to originate from the depths of the starry space. They only felt their wills trembling, as though their minds were about to explode. Even their bodies were trembling violently. The light flashed, and in the vast starry space, numerous silhouettes could be seen floating there. At this moment, the hearts of everyone pounded violently as they stared at the gigantic creature before them. That was a greater demon that shone with boundless light, a terrifying great rock that spanned across the heavens and earth, radiating resplendent light. No one knew how gigantic it was exactly. They could only see it clearly when they stood in the air. They also understood that although the great rock was just inches away from them, it was still extremely far away. The body of the great rock shone with boundless light. Each beam of light was a great rock that flowed unceasingly. The aura emanating from it caused the hearts of everyone to tremble. It was as though just a single strand of energy from the great rock would be enough to annihilate them. Is this a constellation? Someone mumbled in a low voice. As the light flashed, the pain they felt earlier appeared again. In the next instant, their consciousness returned to their original positions, but there were still huge waves of shock in their hearts. They inclined their heads and stared at the boundless starry space. Chapter 1156. Constellation. At this moment, a voice rang out in the minds of everyone. Was that the constellation they condensed their astral souls to cultivate on? In this boundless starry space, there were countless constellations. Even though they were separated by an immeasurably great distance, they could still sense the power of the constellations and absorb the astral energy for their own use. However, only now did they understand how weak the astral energy they absorbed was when compared to the astral souls they had condensed. As their strength grew stronger, they would be able to absorb more astral energy bit by bit. Did humans create the world, or did the world create humans? Qin Wentian mumbled in a low voice. In that case, is it the astral souls that create the constellations, or is it the constellations that create the astral souls? As the sound of his voice faded, the gazes of everyone turned to Qin Wentian. Such a brazen thought truly caused their hearts to tremble. They naturally understood what Qin Wentian meant. How similar were constellations and astral souls? Astral souls were formed from constellations, and as the astral souls grew stronger and stronger, they would grow more and more familiar with the constellation. If there was a day when an astral soul was as strong as a constellation, wouldn't their astral soul be a constellation as well? Such a brazen thought caused them to once again feel how tiny and insignificant they were. Even for those at the peak of immortal foundation, when they stared at the constellations below the starry sky, other than gazing up, what else could they do? One day, when you all stand at the peak of cultivation, would you also be as resplendent as the constellations in the night sky, radiating boundless radiance that cascaded down onto the world, representing the law and order of the world? The ethereal voice slowly rang out. Everyone inclined their heads and stared at the starry sky. The brightest constellations in the sky were like supreme experts standing there. They sank into contemplation, and as they contemplated, the ethereal voice didn't stop. It continued quietly, transmitting its voice into their minds. Every sentence, every voice seemed to be able to cause them to sink into contemplation. In fact, it even caused a resonance in the depths of their hearts. From big to small, from constellations to astral souls, from astral souls to cultivation. This voice unceasingly seeped into their ears, causing them to be intoxicated, unable to extricate themselves. Their eyes had long since closed, as they entered the state of cultivation. Enlightenment was difficult, and it was a situation that cultivators yearned for. A single moment of enlightenment was better than many years of cultivation. However, when the Sacred Academy was lecturing, this ethereal voice was able to send people into a state of enlightenment again and again. Such a heaven-defying method was rarely seen in the world. Even the geniuses of the top powers and their elders did not have such an ability. The people of the world treasured the chance of the Sacred Academy appearing in the immortal realms so much, sending their juniors to the Sacred Academy for cultivation. No major powers dared to underestimate the Sacred Academy. From this, one could see the status of the Tiandao Sacred Academy in the immortal realms. Although the Tiandao Sacred Academy hasn't appeared in the immortal realms for many years, it still possessed an incomparably terrifying influence. This kind of influence was naturally a reputation that had been accumulated since ancient times. Once every 12 years, the Sacred Academy lectured twice, sending everyone who listened to the lecture of the Sacred Academy into a state of enlightenment. The ethereal voice was like the melody of the great Tao, like the evening drum and morning bell, ringing in the hearts of the cultivators, as well as in their minds, opening the door to cultivation for them, allowing them to see further, helping them to walk even further in the future. When everyone was in a state of enlightenment, the vast Sacred Academy actually started to change. The entire structure of the Sacred Academy, under the illumination of the boundless radiance, was changing bit by bit. If one stood at the peak of the sacred academy and gazed into the distance, they should be able to see 4 sacred academies floating in the air. These 4 sacred academies were very similar. They floated in the air with ancient stairways, exuding an ethereal and holy aura. In the center of these 4 sacred academies, there was a boundlessly vast region where one could faintly see a world. This was none other than the sky-connecting realm. It was just that at this moment, the people cultivating in the 4 sacred academies still had no idea that the 4 sacred academies had appeared. They were still immersed in their cultivation. 27th year of the sacred academy. In the sacred academy where Qin Wentian was in, many people gradually woke up. The king of the Tianpeng people, the golden-winged great rock Jianantian, broke through to the 9th level of immortal foundation. Golden light illuminated the sky as the shadow of the golden-winged great rock appeared in the air, causing many experts to turn their gazes to Jianantian. The king of the Tianpeng people, the golden-winged great rock, had broken through to the 9th level of immortal foundation. Most probably, no one in this sacred academy would be able to stand against him. Even if the 4 sacred academies joined forces, there wouldn't be many who could stand against him. After breaking through, Jianantian was still cultivating, as though he wasn't willing to wake up. In the same year, the demonic lion also broke through, stepping into the 9th level of immortal foundation. Naturally, other than them, there were over 100 other experts who also broke through. However, the commotion caused by their breakthroughs wasn't as great as the 2 of them, because, based on the rankings, the 2 of them were seated in the 2nd row. And based on their cultivation bases, they broke through from the 8th level to the 9th level. It was easy to break through to a lower level, but it was extremely difficult to break through to a higher level. If one didn't have any good fortune, it would be extremely common for them to be stuck at the same level for over 1,000 years at the 8th level. Everyone understood how rare it was for them to have the opportunity to break through to the next level at the Tiandao Sacred Academy. For those who missed out on the first lecture in the Sacred Academy, they all sighed in regret. They finally understood how rare it was for them to have a lecture in the Sacred Academy. For the 28th year in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, many experts knew that they had no way to improve further. Some of them walked out of the Sacred Academy and stared into the distance. To their shock, they discovered that there were 3 other Sacred Academies appearing in the air. For the 30th year in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, Qin Wentian broke through and stepped into the 5th level of Immortal Foundation. He consecutively gave 2 lectures in the Sacred Academy and broke through to the next level. His cultivation base originally wasn't very high and wouldn't attract much attention. But because he was seated in the lead seat, he was extremely conspicuous. However, this year, the number of people seated in the seats in the Tiandao Sacred Academy was already dwindling. Many people woke up and left, but Jianantian and the demonic lion didn't leave. They were still cultivating, and other than them, there were hundreds of others who were still cultivating. Some were awake, while others were still in the midst of comprehension. For the 32nd year in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, only Qin Wentian remained. At the same time, many people discovered that the Sacred Academies had changed. The 4 Sacred Academies were interconnected, and the sky-connecting realm was no longer an illusory world. One could enter it with their true self. It was a world of combat. However, the sky-connecting realm was still enveloped by the law, and one couldn't borrow any external power upon entering. Also, at the instant one was killed, they would be teleported out of the sky-connecting realm. Most probably, the Sacred Academies didn't want to see a large number of cultivators from the Sacred Academy dying because of competition. Other than this, they also discovered that in the 4 locations where the Tao lectures were held, there was actually a formless energy within. After one ascended the stairway, there was no way to return. When Little Rascal, Purgatory and the others wanted to return to see Qin Wentian, they discovered that they had no way to ascend the stairway. This caused many to speculate that could it be that the Sacred Academies would only hold Tao lectures twice? In addition, there were rumors circulating around the Sacred Academies that the sky-connecting realm wasn't just on the 1st level. There were people who personally witnessed a supreme ranker on the Supreme Might rankings vanishing from the Tongtian Heaven Stone. In the Sacred Academies there were over 10,000 experts. Among them, the human Wu Xiu was the most. The number of demons was far less than the human Wu Xiu. After all, the number of demons from the desolate 10,000 mountain range of the northern regions was simply too little. Also, the immortal realms belong to the human wuxiu after all. Only a few powerful demonic races could stand tall in the immortal realms. Right now, the Sacred Academy was even more lively compared to the past. However, Qin Wentian was still quietly cultivating on his immortal seat. The Sacred Academy was incomparably quiet. He was the only one there staring at the statue. Although many years have passed, he still hadn't awoken from his trance. 33rd year of the Sacred Academy. The geniuses of the immortal realms have already been in the immortal realms for 33 years. Outside the Sacred Academy, there were changes happening every day. However, to those powers that stood at the peak, the immortal realms were the same as before. Because standing at their peak, the deaths and deaths of countless lives, as well as the replacement of countless peak powers, were like raindrops splashing into a river. Although there would be splashes, there was no difference. The gazes of the immortal realms were still on the Sacred Academy. The appearance of the Sacred Academy had the possibility to change the future of the immortal realms. Today, outside the Sacred Academy, a beautiful figure appeared on the platform used for the examination of talent. This figure was incomparably beautiful, but when she released her astral souls, many people were disappointed. However, her immortal foundation wasn't bad. It was a 4th-tier king-grade immortal foundation. Maybe in the eyes of many, she could already be considered a heaven's chosen. But in the perspective of the entire immortal realms, it was still far from enough to enter the Sacred Academy. In terms of beauty, this woman is truly as beautiful as a celestial maiden from the heavens. However, her cultivation base is only at the first level of immortal foundation. Although her talent is good, it isn't outstanding. She is still far from being qualified to enter the Sacred Academy. Someone sighed. And as expected, the shadow on the platform shook his head. You should know that given the talent you displayed, you don't have the qualifications to enter the Sacred Academy. Junior understands. It's just that Junior still begs Senior to give me a chance. The young woman bowed. Her beautiful face was filled with sincerity. Your innate talent isn't strong, you should have undergone some form of transformation. You must have had some good fortune and might have some accomplishments in the future. But even so, it is still insufficient for you to enter the Sacred Academy. Go on. The shadow spoke. This beautiful young woman was like the darling of the world. No matter who it was, they wouldn't be able to help her. Even for this expert in charge of the Sacred Academy, although he didn't agree, he still said a few more words. Senior, please grant me my wish. The young woman still refused to leave. She bowed, her eyes filled with an intense obsession. Why must you be so stubborn? There are still trials ahead. If you can't enter the Sacred Academy, you might even be trapped here for many years. That expert spoke. Junior's husband has entered the Sacred Academy for over 30 years. I know that my talent and cultivation base are far inferior compared to him. Hence, I bitterly cultivate it, not wanting to be left behind too far. I hope that I can accompany him by his side. The Sacred Academy is rumored to be a holy ground for cultivation. Firstly, I can accompany my husband, and secondly, I can raise my strength. Hence, after my immortal foundation stabilized, I immediately rushed here. Since there are still trials ahead, I beg Senior to let me try. If I fail, I would have no regrets. Who is your husband? That expert asked. The young woman's immortal sense surged as a projection appeared. After that expert saw it, he waved his hand and spoke, Go on in. Many thanks, Senior. The young woman bowed and walked towards the entrance of the Sacred Academy. Chapter 1157. Year 35 of Tiandao Sacred Academy. Qin Wentian, who was sitting on the immortal seat, opened his eyes. His gaze was calm and deep. His aura was retracted. He didn't expect that this cultivation session would last for 11 years. There were no other people in the surroundings. Out of the 3,000 immortal seats, he was the only one remaining. Finally, the cultivation session has ended. An ethereal voice drifted over. Qin Wentian nodded. Senior, the lecture of the Tao in the Sacred Academy is held once every 12 years. The next 12 years will soon arrive. Are you still able to come here to listen to the lecture? No. The ethereal voice rang out. Going too far is as bad as not going far enough. 2 lectures on the Tao, you guys gained enlightenment twice. This should be enough to accompany you for many years, and would be of help to your cultivation. Right now, the rules of the Tiandao's Sacred Academy have changed. You can go down the mountain to take a look. If there's another lecture, we will naturally inform you. If not, just let nature take its course. Qin Wentian nodded lightly, feeling a little pity. Had the rules of the Tiandao's Sacred Academy changed? He stood up and walked down the immortal seat. He turned his head and stared into the distance, only to see 3 other sacred academies floating in the air. He naturally knew what they were. Since the 4 sacred academies could see each other, they should be connected to each other. When I entered the sacred academy, I once went to an ancient castle to comprehend the Tao. May I ask, Senior, where that place is? Qin Wentian asked. You can see the entrance of the 4 academies from the ancient castle. The ancient castle is naturally located in the center of the 4 academies. The ethereal voice rang out. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed as he stared at the center of the 4 academies. Over there seemed to be a world of its own, the sky-connecting realm. The ancient castle is in the sky-connecting realm? Qin Wentian felt somewhat puzzled. There didn't seem to be any ancient castles in the sky-connecting realm. The sky-connecting realm. If you can reach the heavens, you will be able to create a world of your own. Go on. That voice rang out. Qin Wentian silently comprehended. After that, he bowed to the statue and spoke, Junior bids my farewell. After saying this, he walked down the ancient mountain stairs step by step. When he turned back to look at the sacred academy again, a mysterious aura enveloped it. It was likely that it would be difficult to go back up. He lifted his foot and walked forward, his steps filled with determination. Unknowingly, he had already broken through to the 5th level of Immortal Foundation. His combat prowess was many times stronger compared to when he first entered the Sacred Academy. Even in the Sacred Academy, where demon-level geniuses were as common as the clouds, he wasn't as weak as when he first entered the Sacred Academy. The rules of the Sacred Academy have truly changed. Qin Wentian could sense a formless law energy enveloping this world. He suddenly had a sense of comprehension. Most probably, in the current Sacred Academy, immortal-ranked weapons and treasures were no longer of any use. The rules of the sky-connecting realm had also changed. It was no longer necessary to enter through the sacrificial altar. Instead, one could directly enter with their true body, directly entering the central region of the sky-connecting realm. In addition, there were 4 exits leading to the 4 sacred academies, located in 4 different directions. After the people of each sacred academy entered, they would be able to head to the Tongtian Heaven Stone and view the Supreme Might rankings. At this moment, Qin Wentian stood on the Tongtian Heaven Stone. Before him, there were over 10 figures engraved on the Supreme Might rankings. Not only were there incomparably tyrannical characters of the sky-connecting realm, there were also characters who had reached the pinnacle of their cultivation bases. For those who were at the same level as them, they had never been defeated before. Their portraits were also engraved on the Supreme Might rankings. The sky-connecting realm, if one could connect to the heavens, they would be able to create a world of their own. Qin Wentian comprehended this sentence, and faintly understood some things. After observing for some time, Qin Wentian directly left this place and found the exit of another sacred academy. After so many years he missed Qingcheng, and he also missed Junmengchen. Qingcheng wasn't in the sacred academy, but Junmengchen, Zi Qingxian and the others were all cultivating in the sacred academy. Their improvements should also be very great, right? The sky-connecting realm was very vast, and the 4 sacred academies were also very vast. It wasn't easy to find a single person. After walking to another sacred academy, Qin Wentian saw many experts contending against each other, and there were even group battles. Most probably, this was a group of people who were equally proud and arrogant. It was naturally impossible for them to avoid sparring. Other than this, he also discovered that the sacred academy he was in before was the one with the least number of people. The number of people in this sacred academy was clearly much more compared to the sacred academy he was in. Naturally now, the sacred academy was still the sacred academy. The 4 sacred academies were all part of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. There was no distinction between the Sacred Academy and the Sacred Academy. Qin Wentian didn't know that during these years of cultivation, many things had happened. The expert from the Tianpeng people, Jiagu, was unhappy that Qin Wentian had ascended to the first seat and had a conflict with Nam Huang Yunxi and Little Rascal, injuring a few of them. The White Tiger people also had a grudge against Qin Wentian and the Nam Huang clan. Hence, they had fought against the Nam Huang clan and the Battle Saint tribe many times. Other than this, because Leiba hated Chu Qingyi for claiming that she was Qin Wentian's woman back then, he felt humiliated. His cultivation base grew stronger and stepped into the 8th level of Immortal Foundation, becoming unexcelled in the world. He even said that he wanted to humiliate the woman Qin Wentian liked, Princess Qing'er. He even tried to cause trouble for Jun Mengchen several times, but was stopped by the disciples of the Heavenly Talisman realm. Both sides fought several times. Qing'er suffered many harassment. Her personality was cold and she didn't like to speak much. But even so, there were still some extremely arrogant people who claimed that Qing'er would be his woman. They even said that they wanted their elders to head to the Evergreen Kingdom to propose marriage. Other than these people that Qin Wentian was familiar with, there were also many conflicts between the other experts. Qin Wentian strolled through the Sacred Academy. He didn't meet Jun Mengchen and the others. Instead, he met some people he was familiar with. These people were people he had only met once before. And just this one time when they stood before Qin Wentian, their eyes were filled with sharpness and coldness. This was especially so for that beautiful maiden clad in a red dress. The long dress accentuated her figure perfectly, making her seem exceptionally beautiful. However, her eyes were so cold that it caused people to feel a chill in their hearts. The matter in the past was a misunderstanding. Qin Wentian stared at that maiden as he spoke. These people were experts from the Shooting Sun Kingdom. Back then in the Sky Connecting Realm, he was tricked by Monk Bujia, and he had to help Bujia to resolve the situation. I'm acquainted with you. When you entered the Sacred Academy, your immortal foundation was already perfect. You were together with that lecherous monk, and you even did such a thing to Chu Qingyi before abandoning her. I can imagine what sort of person you are. The maiden spoke coldly, her words causing Qin Wentian to shake his head and smile bitterly. A single sentence from that woman, Chu Qingyi, not only did she hurt herself, she also destroyed his reputation. Sometimes what you see and hear might not be the truth. In truth, I also wish to find Monk Bujia and give him a good beating. If you find him, you must be more ruthless when you do so. As for Chu Qingyi, the punishment I gave her was definitely not too excessive. I wouldn't do such things to her as you imagined. I have a woman I like and she is currently in the Sacred Academy. Qin Wentian spoke. Are you referring to Qing'er from the Evergreen Kingdom? That maiden asked, her words causing Qin Wentian to start. Seems like this maiden had investigated him before. Since you know about Qing'er, you should know that I'm not lying. Qin Wentian could sense that although the eyes of this maiden were cold, there were no malicious intents in them. She also didn't have any thoughts of killing him. Most probably, she just wanted to teach him a lesson. If that monk Bujia really did something to her, this was something he ought to do. Hence, Qin Wentian was extremely polite. Who knows what you guys are thinking? The maiden's tone was filled with unwillingness, especially when she thought of that damnable monk. However, let me remind you out of goodwill. Even if the person you like is Princess Qing'er, it's still hard to say if she would be able to become your woman. The maiden spoke, her words causing Qin Wentian's eyes to flash. He smiled. I've been to the Evergreen Kingdom before. I believe there shouldn't be too many twists and turns in this matter. You are truly confident, but you should know that as long as the dust hasn't settled, there will always be variables. The maiden continued, there aren't many peak-level beauties in the immortal realms, and those with outstanding talents are even rarer. Just so coincidentally, many of these beauties are in the Sacred Academy, and the young men in the Sacred Academy are all the most outstanding geniuses in the immortal realms. You should also know that for someone like GD's disciple and the daughter of the Evergreen Immortal Emperor, there would definitely be many geniuses who have their eyes on her. It's only normal for them to have their eyes on Qing'er. My judgment has always been good. Qin Wentian smiled. Even Chu Qingyi had many pursuers, let alone Qing'er. The maiden discovered that he didn't seem to mind at all. In fact, he seemed to be somewhat arrogant instead. She couldn't help but to silently muse that this young man before her was truly an extremely arrogant young man. He didn't seem to care about his competitors at all. Maybe what Chu Qingyi said might not be true. Pride was something that wasn't easy to disguise, especially when he was facing her. If you knew who those people are, you might not be so confident. The maiden smiled. Let me remind you again out of goodwill. Not long ago there was an arranged battle in this sacred academy, and you should be acquainted with the main characters. There's Leiba from the Thunder God Hall, and another young man named Jun Mengchen. Qin Wentian's gaze froze as he asked, "Where is it? I can bring you there." That maiden spoke. After that, her silhouette flickered as she sped away. Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he followed after her. "Why are you helping me?" Qin Wentian walked to the side of the maiden as he asked, "Do you think I'm helping you?" The maiden smiled as she stared at Qin Wentian. Staring at her gaze, Qin Wentian seemed to understand what she meant. Most probably, Jun Mengchen would be the weaker one in this arranged battle. And if he went there himself, given the hatred Leiba had for him, there was no need for this maiden to do anything. Qin Wentian didn't say anything more. He followed closely after the maiden as they flew towards the location of the arranged battle. In a vast ancient palace, the geniuses of the various powers were all staring in the same direction. In the airspace above the ancient palace, experts from both camps were currently facing each other. In addition, many of them were injured. Evidently, they had already clashed once. Jun Mengchen was currently fighting. His perfect immortal foundation as well as his powerful combat prowess clearly displayed his talent. He domineeringly suppressed his opponents, exuding magnificence through the generations. There were many spectators at the side. They were all clad in luxurious robes and exuded an air of supremacy. There was one among them, although he was very young. His eyes gleamed with an intense battle intent as he stared at Jun Mengchen's battle. Was it the aura of an emperor? He stepped out as the might of his immortal foundation gushed forth. His entire body radiated an incomparably tyrannical aura, as though he was the ruler of the world, the human emperor of heaven and earth. Boom! Jun Mengchen defeated his opponent with a single punch. After that, the young man walked towards Jun Mengchen and blasted out with his palms. It was as though an ancient emperor had appeared in the world. A boundless might engulfed the heavens and earth, directly blasting towards Jun Mengchen. Jun Mengchen's countenance stiffened. He lifted his palms to defend, but the energy of the heavens and earth gushed forth, exuding boundless might. Despicable. An expert stepped out wanting to act. However, the might of thunder descended from the sky. Leiba's body was like a god of thunder, unsurpassable. Chapter 1158. A disciple from the heavenly talisman realm, Tang Sheng, entered the immortal Champion Gate and entered the sacred academy. His talent was very high and his cultivation base was very high, at the peak of immortal foundation. He entered the sacred academy because he wanted to break through to the immortal king realm. Any disciple from the heavenly talisman realm in the perspective of the entire immortal realms would be considered a genius at the peak. It would be tough for them to be defeated at the same cultivation level. Only in the sacred academy, the disciples from the heavenly talisman realm couldn't always succeed. Because the people here were all geniuses at the peak of the immortal realms. They represented the peak of immortal foundation in the immortal realms. Leiba was undoubtedly a demon-level genius. His personality was incomparably tyrannical, and was known as the Thunder God's son. He was one of the leading characters in the immortal foundation realm of the Thunder God Hall. Right now, his cultivation base was at the 8th level and he was extremely tyrannical. Even disciples from the heavenly talisman realm, who were a level higher than him, were all obstructed by him. You guys have already been defeated and were defeated very miserably? Leiba stared at Tang Sheng as he spoke. Is this your so-called arranged battle? Tang Sheng glanced at them. There were people from the Thunder God Hall and experts from the 9 Emperors' immortal state. How could they not be defeated when these two powers joined forces? Just take Jun Mengchen's opponent for example. A 6th-level immortal foundation expert, one of the 3 leading characters of the 9 Emperors' immortal state, Huang Yudi. Huang Yudi's cultivation base couldn't be considered high. In truth, when he entered the sacred academy, his cultivation base was only at the 4th level. But now, he was already at the 6th level. Such talent was extremely rare and in fact, His cultivation speed was the fastest among the 3 leading characters of the 9 Emperors' immortal state. Right now, Huang Wudi was already at the 9th level. However, everyone knew that in the future, Huang Yudi's accomplishments would surely surpass Huang Wudi. Right now, Jun Mengchen's cultivation base was at the 4th level of Immortal Foundation. He had also improved greatly in the Sacred Academy, but his opponent was Huang Yudi. How could he win? The 9 Emperors' immortal state was a peak-tier immortal empire in the central regions of the immortal realms. They had existed for countless years and had extremely deep foundations. The 9 great emperor scriptures were known as mystical books in the immortal realms, possessing boundless might. Within the immortal empire, geniuses were as common as the clouds. At the immortal foundation level, there were 3 most outstanding characters. All of them were incomparably dazzling. Huang Wudi dared to name himself invincible. Huang Jiudi had enemies under the heavens. He was even more outstanding compared to Huang Wudi, who dared to fight against Jia Nantian back then. Therefore, even though Jun Mengchen's battle prowess was frighteningly strong, it was still impossible for him to defeat Huang Yudi. Very quickly, he was injured and spat out a mouthful of blood. He stared at his opponent and said angrily, "I refuse to accept this." "Why not?" Huang Jiudi clasped his hands behind his back, looking incomparably arrogant. "If I was at the 6th level of Immortal Foundation, what does your arrogance count for in front of me?" Jun Mengchen coldly spoke. "A low cultivation base means a low cultivation base. How can there be ifs? Let me ask you again. The daughter of the evergreen immortal emperor, Qing'er, whose woman is she?" Huang Jiudi stepped out, like a human emperor descending from the heavens. His aura was boundless, unexcelled in the world. Emperor light radiated from him. "Princess Qing'er is naturally the woman of my senior brother. In the future, she will be the wife of my senior brother. No matter how many times you ask, the answer will still be the same." Jun Mengchen spoke with cold arrogance. The conflict between him and Huang Jiudi was precisely because of this. "Who does your senior brother think he is?" Huang Jiudi spoke with cold arrogance. "Since you refuse to change, I can only beat you up until you change. Princess Qing'er and my senior brother are in love with each other. Even the Chongqing the Great has tacitly agreed to this. You want me to deny this? How ridiculous! Even if you are temporarily stronger than me, your words are completely illogical." "Logic?" Huang Jiudi laughed. "In this world, there are actually people who use the word logic. What a joke. Don't you know that in the cultivation world strength is logic? Before this, Leiba once said that he wanted to pursue Princess Qing'er, but now he took the initiative to back out. Do you think it's because of logic?" Huang Jiudi didn't hide anything as he spoke. Leiba's countenance stiffened. But when he thought of that person, he ultimately chose to remain silent. "Since my elder brother has his eyes on Princess Qing'er is naturally his woman, my sister-in-law. No one can doubt this point. As for your senior brother, who does he think he is?" Huang Jiudi spoke slowly. When he mentioned the word elder brother, a rare look of reverence appeared in his arrogant eyes. Huang Wudi was his elder brother, but the person Huang Jiudi respected was obviously not Huang Wudi, because his own talent was more outstanding than Huang Wudi's. To be able to make Huang Jiudi respect someone much more outstanding than him, someone who could cultivate the 9 volumes of the Emperor's canon, someone who was flawless and shocking. There were many people from the 9 Emperors' immortal state standing behind Huang Jiudi. When they heard Huang Jiudi's words, their eyes showed that it was natural. It was as if Huang Jiudi's words were the supreme truth and there was no need to doubt it. His elder brother had his eyes on Princess Qing'er. Then, naturally, Princess Qing'er would be his elder brother's woman. "In the future, you will know what kind of person my senior brother is," Jun Mengchen said coldly. He clenched his fists tightly and was incomparably furious. It was rumored that half a year ago, Huang Jiudi's elder brother, the prince of the 9 emperors' immortal state, met Huang Wudi and the others who were cultivating in this sacred academy in the sky-connecting realm. He said that the daughter of the Chongqing the Great was not bad. From then on, the people from the 9 emperors' immortal state warned everyone in the sky-connecting realm that the daughter of the Chongqing the Great, Qing'er, was the woman that the prince of the 9 emperors' immortal state had his eyes on. No one was allowed to touch her. Leiba had once said that he wanted to pursue Qin Wentian's woman because of Chu Qingyi. But because of a sentence from the prince, he announced that he would back out. However, Jun Mengchen was not convinced. Princess Qing'er was the woman that his senior brother, Qin Wentian, liked at that time. Naturally, it was impossible for her to be the woman of the prince of the 9 emperors' immortal state. Jun Mengchen's voice entered Huang Jiyudi's ears. Huang Jiyudi wanted Jun Mengchen to change his words. He had to change it. How overbearing was that? No matter what kind of person he is, if he appears in front of me, I will make him take the initiative to announce to the world that he has nothing to do with Princess Qing'er. Huang Jiyudi was incomparably arrogant. His elder brother had indeed only said one sentence. But one sentence was enough because that was his elder brother. How tyrannical! Many in the surroundings were geniuses at the peak of the immortal realms. Among them, there was no lack of geniuses from the central regions. As people of the same generation, they naturally knew who were the more outstanding characters among them. And those from the 9 emperors' immortal state were naturally the cream of the crop. This Huang Jiyudi was truly as tyrannical as the rumors said, having no one in his eyes other than his elder brother. Huang Wudi was already very arrogant, but Huang Jiyudi was even more arrogant compared to Huang Wudi. Naturally, he was also more capable of stirring up trouble. However, although he could afford to offend someone, others couldn't afford to offend him. Qin Wentian had already arrived. Although he didn't personally witness the battle, he heard the arrogant voice of Huang Jiyudi. From the voice transmission transmitted by the beauty from the Sun Kingdom, he also knew that this person was Huang Jiyudi and what sort of character he was. Because there were too many spectators, and Jun Mengchen and the others were too busy to care about anything else, they didn't notice that Qin Wentian had already arrived. The elder brother he spoke of is in another sacred academy. He should be in the same sacred academy as the girl you like. As for Huang Jiyudi, the reason why he announced this to the world was because he heard a single sentence from his elder brother in the sky-connecting realm. Just because of that sentence, the son of the thunder god, Leba, decided to retreat. Now, you should understand what I meant by the words I spoke to you before. The maiden transmitted her voiceover. Qin Wentian nodded. The maiden beside him had a smile on her face. She didn't see any anger in Qin Wentian's eyes. Her beautiful eyes couldn't help but to be filled with curiosity. For anyone who heard someone telling them to admit that the girl they liked had no relationship with them, it was inevitable that they would be angry, right? Qin Wentian naturally had a reason to be angry. But so what? Could it be that he had to release his violent aura to vent his anger? You said that it was a misunderstanding back then. But in the end, you were still standing together with that perverted monk and even went against us. This is the truth. And since I brought you here, I believe you won't blame me. If you take this step out, then the grudge between us will be over. The maiden calmly stared ahead. She was thinking that with the Qin Wentian she saw in her eyes, how could he not step out? Very fair. Qin Wentian nodded. She didn't guess wrongly. Qin Wentian stepped out. Looking at Qin Wentian walking towards the sky above the ancient palace, many gazes naturally landed on him. And the instant Leba saw him, the lightning on his body trembled even more excitedly. His eyes flashed with cold lightning. Jun Mengchen stared at Qin Wentian. His eyes flickered with excitement. After so many years, senior brother Qin was still as elegant as ever. The aura on his body was even more unfathomable. In these 30-plus years, Qin Wentian's strength had improved tremendously. As for senior brother Qin, he wouldn't waste his time. The last time they met, Qin Wentian was captured and heavily injured. His aura was extremely weak. This was the first time in 30-plus years that they were truly reunited. Senior brother. Jun Mengchen calmly greeted. Even after so many years, he still called Qin Wentian senior brother so naturally. The people of the 9 emperors' immortal state looked at Qin Wentian. When he called Qin Wentian senior brother, and sensed the aura on Leba's body, they immediately knew who had arrived. How do you want me to announce it to the world? Qin Wentian said plainly. He walked to Jun Mengchen's side. He looked at Huang Yudi and spat out a bone-chilling voice. Countless gazes focused on the elegant silhouette that spat out a cold voice. The princess of the Shooting Sun Kingdom watched as Qin Wentian walked out to face the 9 emperors' immortal state. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a hint of a smile. She thought to herself, I didn't misjudge him. He is indeed a proud person. However, some people didn't think so. For example, Leba. The rules of the Sacred Academy have changed for many years. You have also been hiding for so many years. Now, you finally dare to show yourself. I wonder what realm you have cultivated to that you dare to come out and walk around? Leba said plainly. He took a step forward. His tone was filled with a strong attitude of indifference and killing intent. Back then in the sky-connecting realm, Chu Qingyi's words were like lightning striking his chest and heart. He couldn't forget it. Back then, he was already insufferably arrogant. He didn't even put Qin Wentian in his eyes. Moreover, he had become stronger today. Qin Wentian had never been an opponent in his eyes. He was merely someone that he wanted to humiliate and kill. That was all. It was because Qin Wentian wasn't even qualified to be his opponent. Chapter 1159. Although Leba felt that Qin Wentian didn't even have the qualifications to be his opponent, for some things Qin Wentian still had to pay the price. Also back then, Qin Wentian was extremely ruthless in his actions. What sort of status did the holy maiden of the Snowdrift Sage Hall, Chu Qingyi, have? Although there were many holy maidens in the Snowdrift Sage Hall, they couldn't be compared to Qing'er, who was the disciple of GD and also the woman doted on by Chongqing the Great. But even so, she was still profaned and humiliated by others. Also, everyone knew that he, Leba, was pursuing Chu Qingyi. In that case, Leba also had reason to believe that Qin Wentian was hiding from him, not daring to meet him. If not, the 4 sacred academies had already been connected through these years. Qin Wentian had no reason to not show himself. Although the sacred academy was very vast, it wasn't so vast that they wouldn't know of Leba's declaration. Since this was the case, if Qin Wentian was willing, he would naturally have a way to find him. But Qin Wentian didn't. Now that Qin Wentian finally came out, most probably, his cultivation base had improved greatly. Or maybe he saw his junior apprentice brother being humiliated and had no choice but to come out. Qin Wentian stared at Leba. Those deep eyes of his seemed to be able to penetrate through space, mincing Leba into pieces. Back then when Chu Qingyi acted against Jun Mengchen, she might still be able to find a reason to be implicated because of him. But the one who acted was Leba. Just like his name, he was tyrannical and domineering, standing up for Chu Qingyi. When had Qin Wentian ever existed in his eyes? He didn't, Huang Yudi didn't either. This was why they dared to be so arrogant and brazen. Qin Wentian turned around and looked at Jun Mengchen. He said, "I'm sorry to have dragged you into this." Jun Mengchen smiled and didn't seem to care at all. He was naturally free and easy, so he naturally wouldn't think that he was implicated by his senior brother just because he was beaten. This kind of thinking was truly shameful. "Senior brother, it's good that you're here. Some people are really too arrogant." Jun Mengchen said and briefly told Qin Wentian what had happened. Huang Yudi and Leba watched quietly. No one stopped Jun Mengchen because they wanted to let Qin Wentian know what had happened. If Qin Wentian didn't even know, how could they humiliate him? After listening to Jun Mengchen, Huang Yudi looked at Qin Wentian with a smile and said calmly, "Since you already know what happened and know that my senior brother has taken a fancy to Princess Qing, then you can say it yourself. Tell everyone that you and Princess Qing, of the Evergreen Kingdom have nothing to do with you." When Huang Yudi spoke these words, he was as calm as ever, so calm that it was as though these words were the truth, an unquestionable truth. Because he, Huang Yudi, was the one who said these words, because his elder brother had taken a liking to that princess. Qin Wentian narrowed his eyes as he stared at Huang Yudi. In fact, he didn't feel any anger, but it wasn't because he wasn't angry. It was because his anger had already been suppressed to a limit. He didn't mind others liking Qing because that meant that Qing was very outstanding. Even if the other party wanted to woo Qing he knew that it would be no different from asking for trouble. But this man before him actually wanted him to personally tell the world that Qing had nothing to do with him. This could no longer be described as arrogance or pride. But when Huang Yudi said this, he was actually so calm, as though this was how it should be. Qin Wentian also saw Huang Yudi. Back then in the sky-connecting realm, he had personally witnessed the battle between Jian Nantian and Huang Yudi. He naturally wouldn't forget who Huang Yudi was. As someone from the 9 Emperors' immortal state of the central regions, Huang Yudi was truly arrogant. There are some things that can't be avoided by remaining silent. Huang Yudi added when he saw that Qin Wentian didn't say anything. It's not that I'm silent, I'm just a little surprised. Qin Wentian finally spoke. Everyone stared at Qin Wentian with interest. Those geniuses who were here to watch the liveliness had thought of many possibilities. They thought that Qin Wentian might explode in anger, and they also thought that Qin Wentian would hide his killing intent in his heart. But now, Qin Wentian actually calmly said that he was somewhat surprised. But at this moment, Qin Wentian's lips parted as he continued. The crown prince of the 9 emperors' immortal state is actually an idiot. As the sound of his voice faded, the gazes of everyone froze. This sentence was truly interesting. Could the crown prince of the 9 emperors' immortal state, Huang Yudi, be an idiot? Naturally not. Most probably no one would dare to think so. How could a young prince with heaven-defying talent, who was even more outstanding than Huang Yudi by the 9 emperors' immortal state, be an idiot? Interesting. Huang Yudi froze for a moment before he suddenly laughed. However, that pair of smiling eyes contained an eerie coldness that caused people's hearts to palpitate. Not interesting at all. Qin Wentian continued. Everyone in the eastern regions knows of my relationship with Qing'er. I once held Qing'er's hand in the Evergreen Kingdom's royal palace and announced to the world that she is someone that I, Qin Wentian, like. Qing'er naturally likes me as well. But as the crown prince of the 9 emperors' immortal state, you actually want me to tell everyone that I have no relationship with Qing'er? Other than an idiot, I really can't think of anyone who would say such a stupid thing. Huang Yudi laughed maniacally. Leiba also laughed maniacally. What you said seems to be logical, but things like logic are only meant for those who have no ability. If it was an ordinary person who wanted you to say those words, it would naturally be a stupid thing to say. But the person who wanted you to say those words is Huang Yudi, the crown prince of the 9 emperors' immortal state. In that case, he naturally isn't an idiot. A person behind Huang Yudi spoke. When someone is stronger than you and much stronger, no matter how stupid the words he says to you, it would still be the truth. This sentence itself is also the truth. That person's voice was powerful and resonant, like the voice of truth. Even the spectators who were watching the show felt that this sentence was the truth. There was no such thing as logic in the world. How could there be any stupid words? The crux of the matter was who said it. Let's add a few more words. Huang Yudi looked at Qin Wentian and said, I want you to announce to the world that you have nothing to do with Princess Qing'er, and Princess Qing'er is my brother's woman. Since you are the prince of the 9 emperors' immortal state, then your elder must be the monarch of the 9 emperors' immortal state. Such a person should be a rare and powerful figure. It's a pity that they seem to have neglected to teach their children, which led to such an uneducated son. I really feel sorry for them. Qin Wentian's calm voice contained a hint of anger. Who in the world wouldn't be able to hear it? He actually dared to implicate the ruler of the 9 emperors' immortal empire? From this, one could very well imagine the flames of rage burning in his eyes. Boom! Waves of violent imperial aura bloomed. It wasn't the aura from Huang Yudi, but the aura from the strong cultivators of the 9 emperors' immortal state behind him. This sentence not only said that Huang Yudi was uneducated, but it also seemed to imply that the monarch of the 9 emperors' immortal state didn't teach his son well. Otherwise, how could he have raised such an uneducated son like Huang Yudi? The young man in front of him was extraordinarily courageous. Although Huang Yudi didn't release any violent aura, the murderous intent in his eyes was even more intense. The Sacred Academy had rules that forbade killing. Otherwise, he would definitely kill the person in front of him. A dead person naturally couldn't compete with his elder brother for a woman. However, it was precisely because of such rules in the Sacred Academy that he needed Qin Wentian to admit it himself. As long as Qin Wentian said these words, the princess of the Evergreen Kingdom would probably give up on him. Huang Yudi was able to think of all these. How could he be stupid? You should know that these words are not only insulting me, but also insulting my family, Huang Yudi said. You should know that your words are not only insulting me, but they are also insulting Qing'er. Qin Wentian replied. Announcing that Qing'er was the woman of the prince of the 9 emperors' immortal state was a huge insult to Qing'er. In that case, do you know that if this place wasn't the Sacred Academy, the moment you said those words earlier, you would already be a dead man? Huang Yudi acted as though he hadn't heard Qin Wentian's words. As he continued mumbling to himself, I only know that if this wasn't the sacred academy, I wouldn't have said those words. Because when you want me to say those words, you would be a dead man, Qin Wentian replied. Then there was another period of silence. Although it's forbidden to kill in the sacred institute, you'll still say what I want you to say in the end. After a moment of silence, Huang Yudi persisted. His tone was as resolute as ever. However, he knew that it was impossible for him to make Qin Wentian say those words. The people behind him also knew this, hence some of them stepped out. If I didn't see wrongly, your cultivation base should be at the 5th level of Immortal Foundation. I don't like to bully those with lower cultivation bases. Hence, it's better for someone else to act on my behalf first. Not only are you stupid, you are also shameless enough. Could it be that the person who injured my junior brother earlier wasn't you? To think that you can say such shameless words in front of so many people. I truly admire you. Qin Wentian laughed. Since you are already used to doing such things, why don't you do it yourself? In any case, you would have to act sooner or later. Even if you want me to act, I have to first see if you have the qualifications to do so. Huang Yudi continued. From the start till the end, he was as arrogant as ever. The people from the Thunder God Hall weren't in a hurry. Leba quietly watched. Although he really wanted to personally use the cruelest lightning punishment on Qin Wentian, he believed that Qin Wentian wouldn't compromise so easily. In that case, Huang Yudi would let Qin Wentian understand how to humiliate someone, making him say the cruelest words. The words that Huang Yudi wanted Qin Wentian to say were naturally cruel, because Qing was the woman that Qin Wentian liked. But he wanted Qin Wentian to personally admit that she was the woman of his royal brother. Even if it was so cruel, Qin Wentian still had to say it eventually. There were people from the 9 Emperors' immortal state who understood Huang Yudi's meaning. Hence an expert stepped out. This expert was a 5th level Immortal Foundation genius. His cultivation base was the same as Qin Wentian. Just like what Huang Yudi said, if Qin Wentian wanted him to act, he should at least let him see if he was qualified or not. Since this expert from the 9 Emperors' immortal state could enter the Tiandao Sacred Academy, he naturally wouldn't be a mediocre character. On the contrary, he was extremely powerful. When he blasted out a punch, that majestic emperor aura seemed to be able to lacerate everything, exuding an unparalleled will, wanting to destroy Qin Wentian, who was standing there. And Qin Wentian stood there from the start till the end, as though he didn't see that violent punch. Chapter 1160. Qin Wentian's eyes were as calm as ever. He didn't see that punch because in his eyes there was no such thing as a punch. Immortal light instantly enveloped Qin Wentian. The tyrannical king fist slammed into his body, causing the space around him to tremble violently. The sound of wind and thunder could be heard, terrifying to the extreme. Under this ferocious fist, Qin Wentian's body of flesh and blood seemed so tiny and inconsequential, as though it could be easily torn apart. Qin Wentian didn't shatter. He continued standing there, as steady as a boulder, as indestructible as a rock. Terrifying immortal light radiated from him, so dazzling that it almost blinded the eyes of others, so much so that the 9th prince felt his heart trembling. He was a heaven's chosen of the 9 emperors' immortal state, and was able to enter the sacred academy. From this, one could see what sort of character he was. His cultivation base was at the 5th level of Immortal Foundation, and his might was unparalleled. In addition, he was also very young and was naturally very arrogant. There was no need to doubt how powerful his fists were. But when he saw the calmness and indifference in Qin Wentian's eyes, the pride in his heart was slowly being destroyed. If he couldn't even move the body of his opponent, one could very well imagine how great the disparity in strength between the two of them was. It was simply insurmountable. Ha! A thunderous roar rang out, exploding the eardrums of the crowd. That expert from the 9 Emperors' immortal state was bathed in emperor light as he released his immortal foundation, resembling a human emperor. His fist shone with an incomparably resplendent light as the shadows of human emperors ferociously slashed out. His eyes were incomparably sharp. He wanted nothing more than to destroy Qin Wentian. Even if he was defeated, he wouldn't allow himself to be defeated like this. Qin Wentian continued standing there. He was like a constellation in the night sky, radiating an incomparably resplendent light. Such a radiance caused the experts who blasted into him to feel a sense of inferiority. A deep sense of inferiority. Qin Wentian stretched out his hand. That palm seemed to contain a formless energy, containing a fearsome binding force. At this instant, that expert from the Nine Emperors' immortal empire didn't even have time to dodge. Just like that, his head was directly grabbed by Qin Wentian's hand and flung to the side. It was like tossing away a dog, so effortless. Qin Wentian didn't even injure his opponent. But precisely because of this, that expert felt a deep sense of humiliation. In Qin Wentian's eyes, he basically didn't exist. If not, Qin Wentian wouldn't have been so lazy to injure him. He stood there, staring at Qin Wentian with a blank expression. Was this the strength he was so proud of? Why couldn't he even withstand a single strike? Can you scram out now? Qin Wentian's gaze was so calm as he stared at Huang Jiudi. It was so calm that there were no fluctuations in his eyes. In fact, his eyes had never left Huang Jiudi. When had he ever faced that opponent earlier? Things are getting more and more interesting. The spectators all had faint smiles in their eyes when they saw this scene. If Qin Wentian merely defeated his opponent, they wouldn't find it interesting. But how could this be described with just the word defeated? That expert from the Nine Emperors' immortal state earlier didn't even have the qualifications to make Qin Wentian act. Naturally, no one knew how strong Qin Wentian was exactly, or how strong his true strength was. Maybe he could really fight against Huang Jiudi? As expected of an expert with a saint-grade immortal foundation, many people still remembered the time when Qin Wentian entered the Sacred Academy over 30 years ago. At that time, Qin Wentian had stolen the limelight of everyone. Although they didn't feel that Qin Wentian was stronger than everyone, at the very least, he was the strongest in certain aspects. For example, astral souls and immortal foundation. Since this was the case, his combat prowess shouldn't be too disappointing. And the scene earlier proved this point. Qin Wentian was far stronger compared to other geniuses at the same cultivation level. Not only was he stronger by a little, he was on a completely different level. However, that person wasn't a match for Qin Wentian. His opponent now was Huang Jiudi. Huang Jiudi, who was said to be a match for everyone under the heavens. And as expected at this moment, Huang Jiudi smiled. His smile was still as cold as before. He stared at Qin Wentian and spoke. Seems like you do indeed have the qualifications to make me act. However, you still have to say that sentence. He didn't know that Qin Wentian would never say that sentence. Leaving aside the fact that he was merely Huang Jiudi, even if he really was a match for everyone under the heavens, how could he make Qin Wentian say such a sentence? Scram out here. Qin Wentian emphasized his words. Could it be that those arrogant and conceited geniuses like to flaunt their strength in front of others? By saying that Qin Wentian had the qualifications to make him act, it was as if he was standing in the clouds and Qin Wentian was only qualified to fight with him. Huang Yudi's words showed his arrogance. Qin Wentian simply repeated the 3 words. Wasn't it also a kind of arrogance that disregarded everything? Even if his opponent was Huang Yudi, he still only had 3 simple words. Scram out here. Isn't it a bit too harsh? Among the crowd, beside the beautiful princess from the Shooting Sun Kingdom, a young man faintly spoke. He was a prince of the Shooting Sun Kingdom, and this woman was his royal sister. Naturally, she was the princess of the Shooting Sun Kingdom. Both of them were supreme geniuses, and within the Sacred Academy, how many of them were ordinary people? The princess of the Shooting Sun Kingdom understood what her royal brother was referring to. Luring Qin Wentian here to Qin Wentian was truly too ruthless. As an immortal empire of the central regions, they had frequent dealings with the 9 emperors' immortal state. They naturally knew what sort of characters the 3 princes of the 9 emperors' immortal state were. Since Qin Wentian came here, he naturally had to face them. And his opponents were Huang Yudi and Huang Wudi. What awaited Qin Wentian was nothing but intense humiliation. Even if Qin Wentian could resolve the situation here, the price he had to pay would be unimaginable. What sort of situation would he have to face in the future? This was simply a dead end. This should have been the situation he had to face. I merely brought it forward. In such a situation, it would naturally be more intense. He helped that lewd monk. I'm making him face the challenge more directly. Why would royal brother feel that this is too ruthless? The princess of the Shooting Sun Kingdom stared at her elder brother as she spoke. Her elder brother shrugged his shoulders and smiled. He was just casually speaking. He naturally wouldn't have any benevolence in his heart. The word benevolence was impossible for someone of his status to possess. With regards to this point, he had understood it since he was very young. It's just that I feel that it's a pity. The prince laughed. The beautiful eyes of the princess of the Shooting Sun Kingdom flashed with a strange light. Seems like her royal brother had high hopes for Qin Wentian. If not, he wouldn't feel that it was a pity. It was a pity. Of course it was a pity. Qin Wentian was likely to suffer an unprecedented blow. If he was forced to say something like that, how would he be able to hold on to his heart? If he didn't say it, he would probably be even more miserable. Of course, Huang Yudi wouldn't roll out. He walked out. Qin Wentian had repeatedly rolled out twice. If he didn't come out, he wouldn't be Huang Yudi. Huang Yudi, who walked out, stood proudly. His eyes were fixed on Qin Wentian, filled with pride. I've long recognized you. When we first entered the Sacred Academy, at that instant the radiance radiating from you surpassed everyone else, to the point where I even compared myself to you. However, this thought didn't last for too long before it was forgotten by me. Although you radiated boundless radiance for an instant, like a goshawk soaring through the skies, in the eyes of the great rock, there should be no such thing as a goshawk, because he was born to dominate the entire sky. Hence, if it wasn't for that princess, I think we wouldn't have had any interactions at all. As Huang Yudi spoke, his aura gushed forth. An incomparably powerful aura gushed forth as numerous shadows of human emperors revolved around him. At this instant, he was clad in a set of human emperor armor, resembling a true peerless human emperor, unrivaled in the world. 6 human emperors, each with a different attribute. Huang Yudi is truly a true heaven's chosen. He studied the 9 Grand Emperor canons since he was young, and was able to cultivate 6 of them. Other than that elder brother of his, there's no one in the younger generation of the 9 Emperors' immortal state who can be mentioned in the same breath as him. Even the powerful Huang Wudi couldn't compare to him. How powerful! The geniuses all stared at Huang Yudi. The 6 human emperors revolved around him, and in the middle, there was a near-perfect immortal foundation. Just the aura he exuded was so powerful that it caused the hearts of people to tremble. Although his cultivation base was only at the 6th level of immortal foundation, even geniuses at the 7th level of immortal foundation could feel their hearts palpitating when they sensed his aura. You said 2 sentences for me to scram out. In that case, I want you to repeat the same sentence 20 times. I believe this would be fairer. Huang Yudi laughed. He walked towards Qin Wentian step by step. The 6 human emperors shone with boundless light, abruptly erupting forth with 6-colored light that enveloped the entire space Qin Wentian was in. The 6-colored light converged together, instantly transforming into a destructive energy that wanted to destroy the entire space. A divine glow circulated around Qin Wentian, exuding boundless might. His perfect Saint-grade immortal foundation gushed forth with a demonic might that caused the hearts of people to tremble. The shadow of a divine turtle appeared around him. This turtle was incomparably gigantic, encompassing the entire space around him. When the 6-colored light blasted over, the divine turtle's shadow trembled as it was corroded bit by bit, about to shatter apart. Huang Yudi was such a proud person. How could he not be powerful? If he wasn't powerful, how could he be praised as someone who would surpass Huang Wudi? Also, his cultivation base was at the 6th level of immortal foundation, higher than Qin Wentian. Usually when fighting against geniuses at the same level as him, just the 6-colored light radiating from him was enough to destroy them. In fact, he didn't even need to do anything. Strength was the capital that Huang Yudi was proud of. He naturally had the qualifications to be arrogant. Staring at the shadow of the divine turtle on Qin Wentian's body weakening, Huang Yudi laughed, as expected of someone who has the qualifications to make me act. If you were destroyed by the human emperor light, it would truly be too boring. Luckily you are not so weak that you would be killed by me. If not, I wonder if the rules of the Sacred Academy would punish me or not. As he spoke, the light grew even more intense. The shadow of the divine turtle was destroyed. Chapter 1161. Huang Yudi's eyes gleamed with sharpness. When the 6-colored human emperor light radiated forth, very few experts on the same level as him would be able to resist it. As for those with lower cultivation bases, there was no need to doubt them. Staring at the shadow of the divine tortoise being destroyed, Huang Yudi's gaze was filled with arrogance. He was Huang Yudi, an enemy under the heavens. Since his elder brother had said such a sentence before, there were some things he should do for his elder brother. He was very clear of how arrogant his elder brother was. Just when Huang Yudi was waiting for Qin Wentian's defense to be destroyed, Qin Wentian didn't think so much. His perfect saint-grade immortal foundation shone with boundless resplendent light, as the shadow of a divine tortoise manifested. After that, the light radiated out in all directions, enveloping him, forming a layer of supremely powerful defense. The six-colored nine emperor immortal light destroyed a divine tortoise, but the shadow of the divine tortoise was reborn. The human emperor light continued to blast out unceasingly, destroying the divine tortoise. However, a new layer of defense was formed. The supremely powerful attack and supremely powerful defense were actually locked in a stalemate. In the airspace above the ancient palace, the destructive light enveloped an extremely large area. It was very hard to imagine that such a powerful attack was actually a 6th-level Immortal Foundation expert fighting against a 5th-level Immortal Foundation expert. I really don't understand what qualifications you have to be arrogant. Qin Wentian calmly stared at his opponent. Even if his opponent's cultivation base was higher than his, even if his opponent had the Emperor Light, he had a perfect saint-grade Immortal Foundation as well as powerful demonic arts. If his opponent wanted to destroy him just by relying on his Immortal Foundation alone, he would have wasted all his years of cultivation. Not bad, you do have some strength. But if you think you can be arrogant in front of me just because of this, aren't you overestimating yourself a little too much? Huang Yudi stepped out. The Emperor Light radiating from him was as strong as ever, capable of destroying everything. If it wasn't for Qin Wentian's tyrannical defense, ordinary people wouldn't even have the qualifications to stand here and talk to him. Qi. The six-colored Emperor Immortal Light congregated together as the light from the Immortal Foundation shone brightly, even more dazzling than sunlight, blinding the eyes of others. A human emperor sword manifested from the light of the human emperor appeared, exuding a feeling that it could exterminate all evils in the world. Even before the sword arrived, the sword might radiating from the human emperor's sword had already penetrated the shadow of the divine turtle. This sword was the human sovereign sword, and the light it emitted was the essence of the human sovereign immortal light. It was extremely tyrannical. The human sovereign sword descended upon the space covered by the black turtle, illuminating the world of starlight, destroying the defense of the black turtle around Qin Wentian. Huang Yudi was very strong, there was no need to doubt this point. If not, how could ordinary 6th-level Immortal Foundation geniuses stand a chance against Qin Wentian? A sword flew over with the speed of lightning, breaking apart the shadow of the divine turtle, and shooting towards Qin Wentian. That beam of sword light enveloped Qin Wentian, destroying the space around him. There was nowhere for him to escape. But Qin Wentian didn't know how to flee. He transformed into a divine form, radiating light that was comparable to that of a mythological existence. He chanted incantations as gigantic ancient characters containing law might blasted out. His entire Immortal Foundation transformed into an incomparably gigantic ancient character, the word suppress. The might of this word suppress was unparalleled, containing the law energy of the great Tao. Boundless suppression characters radiated from within, sweeping out in all directions, suppressing everything. The terrifying human sovereign sword slashed over, humming noisily, but it was actually suppressed by the boundless suppression of the ancient characters before Qin Wentian, unable to move. The Emperor Light radiating from the sword was forcibly sealed away. No matter how resplendent it was still suppressed. Huang Yudi frowned, his eyes gleaming with sharpness. How powerful was he? Although his Immortal Foundation was inferior to Qin Wentian, being a 5th-tier king-grade Immortal Foundation, Huang Yudi didn't feel that his Immortal Foundation could be compared to Qin Wentian's. He cultivated the 9 Emperor's arts and had 6 Emperor codices, transforming them into astral souls of different attributes that resonated with each other to form his current Immortal Foundation. How perfect was his Immortal Foundation? If not, he wouldn't be able to unleash such overwhelming might. The human sovereign sword shone with a brilliant light. He pointed his finger forward as the human sovereign sword gleamed with light, wanting to cleave apart everything, wanting to kill Qin Wentian. This human sovereign sword wasn't a beam of sword light. It was a true condensed sword that contained boundless might, and was under Huang Yudi's control. The domineering human emperor sword was as lofty as Huang Yudi, radiating a resplendent light as it exuded an unparalleled might. Piercing sounds rang out as the human emperor sword actually broke apart a fearsome suppression character, flying out from the side, humming as it spun in the air before vanishing from sight. In the next instant, the human emperor sword shone with a brilliant light as it directly appeared behind Qin Wentian, slashing towards him. The speed of the sword was terrifying to the extreme. Even if Qin Wentian used the suppression character to defend himself, he wouldn't have enough time. What a fast sword, what a powerful sword! Even geniuses at the 7th level felt their hearts trembling. They faintly felt that if they were in the shoes of this sword, it would be extremely difficult for them to defend against it. It was simply too powerful. Before this, the human sovereign sword flashed through the air with a speed so fast that it disappeared from the eyes of the spectators. From this, one could very well imagine how fast it was. There was no way to evade this sword. Just as it was about to pierce through Qin Wentian's body, the light from Qin Wentian's body flickered as the human sovereign sword pierced through Qin Wentian. However, the silhouette of Qin Wentian gradually dissipated, leaving behind only an illusory afterimage. Qin Wentian dodged this terrifying sword strike. His silhouette appeared in the air as a brilliant shadow of a golden-winged great rock appeared, enveloping him. At this instant he transformed into a great rock, using the unparalleled speed of the rock race to evade this sword strike. Huang Yudi stared ahead as his eyes gleamed with sharpness. He thought of Jia Nantian, who defeated him in the sky-connecting realm back then. Qin Wentian was actually able to use the treasured art of the golden-winged great rock, unleashing such terrifying speed to evade this unparalleled sword strike. The human sovereign sword returned to its original position, floating in the air above Huang Yudi. Its radiance was as resplendent as ever. His countenance was like lightning, staring at Qin Wentian as the battle intent in his eyes grew increasingly intense. The eyes of the experts in the surroundings gleamed with a dazzling light. Qin Wentian was actually able to fight against Huang Yudi to such an extent. Even the human sovereign sword was unable to injure him. Seems like this genius with a saint-grade immortal foundation truly had extraordinary capabilities. I've never fought against someone with a lower cultivation base than me for so long. No wonder you are so arrogant, seems like you do have some capabilities. Huang Yudi floated in the air as he spoke to Qin Wentian. He was still as brazen and as arrogant as ever. The people of the immortal realms all think that the ultimate arts have been lost. However, how could the 9 sovereign canon of my 9 emperors' immortal state be inferior to the ultimate arts of the ancient emperors? Today, being able to see 6 human sovereign swords, you should feel proud and honored. Huang Yudi continued, after which his immortal foundation shone with a brilliant light as 6 human sovereign swords manifested, floating in the air, radiating supreme might. The 6 human sovereign swords all shone with a resplendent light as they revolved frenziedly, causing the heavens and earth to lose their color. I've never seen someone who speaks in such a disgusting manner before. Jun Mengchen was so angry that his aura fluctuated. This Huang Yudi didn't seem to have any advantage from the start to the end, when fighting against his senior brother Qin Wentian. Not only that, his cultivation base was higher than Qin Wentian, but from his words, it was as though it was an honor for him to fight against Huang Yudi. This caused him to feel so disgusted that he wanted to vomit. I also have no way to understand. Why would such a fool appear in the 9 emperors' immortal state? Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he transformed into a true golden-winged rock. Before the lecture in the Sacred Academy, he underwent the baptism of demon blood in the sacred ground and battled against many saint beasts. How great of an improvement was this? He cultivated the 8 demonic treasured arts and had boundless might. In addition to his combat experience, he was able to perfectly fuse the various innate techniques together. If he transformed into a rock, he would be a true rock. His hand of God would be able to unleash boundless might from his entire body, and he would have an indestructible divine body. Even when compared to a pure-blooded golden-winged rock, he wouldn't be the slightest bit inferior. A golden bolt of lightning streaked across the sky, heading straight for Huang Yudi. This caused everyone to be astonished. Qin Wentian actually took the initiative to attack Huang Yudi. How audacious was he? You're courting death. Huang Yudi coldly snorted. 6 human sovereign swords burst forth at the same time. The terrifying light from the human sovereign swords destroyed everything as they headed straight for Qin Wentian, who had transformed into a rock. Qin Wentian's speed transformed into a golden bolt of lightning. It was too fast, even faster than the light from the human sovereign swords. His wings flickered with a dazzling brilliance, wrapping around his body. When the light from the human sovereign swords landed on him, they were actually unable to break through his defense. One could very well imagine how terrifying his defense was. The 6 revolving human sovereign swords sealed the space, causing the body of the golden-winged great rock to be under a terrifying pressure. The human sovereign sword slashed out. The golden-winged great rock opened its beak and spat out words of suppression and destruction. At the same time, its terrifying claws slashed out. In an instant, numerous terrifying great rocks slashed out with their claws, aiming for the Emperor's swords. These attacks were naturally unleashed using the power of God's hand, causing the entire space to tremble. The terrifying attacks contained boundless might. The 6 Emperor swords hummed as they emitted an intense vibrating sound. Each and every one of them caused the space around them to be lacerated. However, with a flash of light, the body of the golden-winged great rock had already vanished. When the human sovereign swords were bound, the terrifying body of the golden-winged great rock appeared before Huang Yudi. His claws slashed out as an ancient character for suppression appeared, enveloping Huang Yudi's body. The current Qin Wentian could use all kinds of abilities to perfection. Qin Wentian's attack could be said to be extremely fast. With the ancient character for suppression, there was no way for Huang Yudi to resist. However, Huang Yudi was ultimately not an ordinary character. He instantly gave up on the human sovereign swords and enveloped his body with the human sovereign swords. He condensed 6 human sovereign imprints and blasted out brazenly, causing the heavens and earth to rumble. The attacks of the golden-winged great rock were incomparably violent, directly colliding with Qin Wentian's attacks. He didn't evade at all. His speed was shocking, and after the first attack, he immediately unleashed his second attack. He actually unleashed the might of a divine elephant, crushing everything in his path. Huang Yudi roared, unleashing his human sovereign immortal might to the extreme, frenziedly defending against Qin Wentian's explosive attacks. However, Qin Wentian's attacks were extremely tyrannical. Time and time again, Huang Yudi was forced to retreat unceasingly. His entire body trembled as his blood and qi churned wildly. Boom! Finally, a deafening sound rang out. Huang Yudi was struck as he coughed out fresh blood. A golden claw descended from the sky, directly grabbing onto his body as it was dragged downwards. Rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly. The ancient palace was crumbling apart. The violent scene caused the experts of the 9 Emperors' immortal state to step out in shock. However, they only saw Qin Wentian hovering in the air. His sharp claws directly penetrated into Huang Yudi's body. It was as though as long as his claws slashed down, he would be able to cripple Huang Yudi's immortal foundation. The experts of the 9 Emperors' immortal state involuntarily halted their steps as they stared at Qin Wentian. Arrogant to such an extent, do you really think that you are invincible under the heavens? I really want to know how you are feeling right now. Do you feel that your words earlier were extremely disgusting? Qin Wentian stared at Huang Yudi, who was covered in blood, as he calmly asked. Huang Yudi roared in rage, only to see Qin Wentian's claws transforming into palms that directly smashed onto Huang Yudi's face. A crisp smacking sound rang out, so clear and distinct. Chapter 1162. Qin Wentian's voice rang out in the air. In addition to Huang Yudi's earlier arrogance and disregard for everything, it was truly an irony. Huang Yudi, the crown prince of the 9 Emperors' immortal state, was a match for everyone under the heavens. He had a cultivation base at the 6th level of immortal foundation, and his earlier words were like looking down on everything, treating Qin Wentian as an ant-like character. Wanting Qin Wentian to personally say that Princess Qing'er had nothing to do with him, and was the woman of his brother Huang Yudi. How great of a humiliation was this to Qin Wentian? He even felt that it was an honor for Qin Wentian to fight against him. Everyone knew that he was Huang Yudi. Hence, no matter how arrogant he was, no matter how condescending his words were, everyone was already used to it. They felt that no matter how arrogant his words were, as long as it came from the mouth of Huang Jiyuti, no matter how unreasonable it would still be logical. Because he was strong. He was the crown prince of the 9 emperors' immortal state, Huang Jiyuti. However, all of these were based on how strong Huang Jiyuti was. Everything, when Huang Jiyuti was defeated, wasn't even worth a mention. In fact, it became an incomparably thick mockery for Huang Jiyuti. Those incomparably arrogant words from before were like a slap to his face just now. It was so ear-piercing. He was Huang Jiyuti, a match for everyone under the heavens. But at this moment he was captured by Qin Wentian, coughing out blood and even having a palm print on his face. Was Huang Jiyuti still Huang Jiyuti? At this moment, the only thing left for the incomparably arrogant Huang Jiyuti was boundless humiliation. Just like what Qin Wentian had said, he was so arrogant earlier, yet he was defeated by Qin Wentian, who was a level lower than him. How would he feel now? Would he feel disgusted by the arrogant words he spat out earlier? He actually lost. The spectators were still in a daze. Qin Wentian jumped a realm and defeated Huang Jiyuti, who was said to be invincible under the heavens. Although he had a perfect saint-grade immortal foundation, the ending of this battle still caused everyone to feel a deep shock. This was especially so when they saw the power Qin Wentian unleashed earlier. Each of his attacks contained the innate techniques of greater demons, and all of them contained terrifying might. It was as though Qin Wentian himself was a true greater demon, and those innate techniques were part of his innate talent. The contrast between Huang Jiyuti's arrogance and the current outcome was too stark. Boom boom boom. Numerous terrifying auras gushed forth. The experts of the 9 emperors' immortal state instantly moving towards Qin Wentian. This was especially so for Huang Yuti's brother, Huang Wuti. Right now, his cultivation base was at the 9th level of immortal foundation. How terrifying was his aura! Let him go. Huang Wuti spoke, and his voice seemed to carry an indisputable tone. Scram. Qin Wentian inclined his head and glanced at the experts here. His eyes, which were now in the form of a golden-winged rock, gleamed with incomparable loftiness. His sharp claws once again pierced towards Huang Yuti, causing Huang Yuti to howl in pain. Everyone could see Qin Wentian grabbing onto Huang Yuti's immortal foundation. As long as he willed it, he could shatter Huang Yuti's immortal foundation, crippling this supreme genius of the 9 emperors' immortal state. Huang Yuti's body trembled slightly. His eyes gleamed with a blood-red light as he stared fixedly at Qin Wentian. He was defeated. He was actually defeated. If you dare to touch me, you will die a graveless death. Huang Yuti stared at Qin Wentian as he spoke. Are you starting to use the power behind your back to suppress me? You are incomparably arrogant, bullying my junior brother who is 2 levels lower than you, yet you are still so proud of it. I truly feel ashamed for you. Qin Wentian's lofty eyes turned cold to the extreme. How pathetic. The rules of the Sacred Academy state that no one can kill or cripple an expert who joined the Sacred Academy. You won't be able to do anything to me. You will die in my hands sooner or later. Huang Yuti stared at Qin Wentian, the killing intent in his eyes terrifying to the extreme. I really don't know why you still dare to be so arrogant even at this moment. Idiot. Qin Wentian slapped out again, ruthlessly slapping Huang Yuti's face. The sounds of slapping rang out unceasingly, and with every slap, a bloody palm print would appear on Huang Yuti's face, until his entire face turned red and swollen. Arg! Huang Yuti roared in rage. He doesn't dare to touch me. Capture him. Boom! Huang Wuti turned ashen. He took a step forward as a terrifying might gushed forth. Boom! A fearsome destructive might enveloped Huang Yuti. Qin Wentian's terrifying claws grabbed onto Huang Yuti's immortal foundation, as the destructive might ravaged it. It felt like as long as he exerted a little more strength, Huang Yuti would become a cripple. Do you guys want to gamble? Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at Huang Wuti as he coldly spoke. Huang Yuti halted his steps once more. The light radiating from him was so bright that it could blind the eyes of people. The rules of the Sacred Academy. I bet you wouldn't dare to defy it. Huang Wuti coldly spoke, yet he only saw Qin Wentian laughing uproariously. Wouldn't dare to defy it? Do you still remember what Huang Yuti said earlier? In this world, there's no logic to speak of. He is strong, he is the logic, he is the rule. He wanted me to say that after he defeated me, he would make me suffer the greatest humiliation. But now, I'm the one who defeated him. The rules of the Sacred Academy are set by humans. I believe the Sacred Academy has seen everything that happened here. In that case, since I've won, even if I cripple him, what reason does the Sacred Academy have to act against me? Even if you dare to touch him, you should also understand what the consequences are. Huang Wudi coldly spoke. Before this, the White Tiger people were as arrogant as you all. They thought that I was just a lowly human and that they were incomparably arrogant, born to be kings. Only they could humiliate me and I couldn't resist. But in the end, I killed 2 white tigers and roasted their meat in front of the White Tiger people. You can imagine how much the White Tiger people hate me, but I'm still alive and well standing here. I even dared to roast a white tiger and eat it. Tell me, do you think I dare to cripple him or not? Qin Wentian spoke. Huang Yudi was still struggling. His silhouette flashed as he rushed into the ancient palace below, smashing Huang Yudi's body into it. His incomparably sharp claws were still locked onto Huang Yudi's immortal foundation. Staring at the berserk Qin Wentian as well as his arrogant words, it was completely different from the earlier Qin Wentian. At this moment, it was like he had transformed into the incomparably arrogant Huang Yudi. At this moment, only then did everyone see this young man clearly. This young man who possessed a perfect saint-grade immortal foundation. It was rumored that in the Sacred Academy where the White Tiger people resided, there was someone who had a conflict with the White Tiger people and stepped onto the life and death arena. There was a human expert who killed 2 white tigers and roasted their meat in front of the White Tiger people. This was something that happened many years ago, but they could still remember this rumor in the sky-connecting realm. Only now did they know that the young man who roasted white tiger meat was none other than Qin Wentian. He dared to roast white tiger meat. In that case, would he dare to cripple Huang Yudi? Would the people of the 9 Emperors' immortal state dare to gamble with him? Among the crowd, Leiba undoubtedly understood Qin Wentian very well. Back then, after the incident with Chu Qingyi, he had been searching for Qin Wentian. He inquired about many things about Qin Wentian and knew that in the Sacred Academy where there were many demonic beasts, Qin Wentian feasted on white tiger meat. He also knew that there was a powerful clan following Qin Wentian, but he didn't care. He was Leiba. Although Qin Wentian was arrogant, he wasn't qualified to be his enemy. Today, Qin Wentian defeated Huang Yudi in front of him, and in such a domineering manner. Although Leiba hated Qin Wentian's strength, he revealed a sense of excitement from the bottom of his heart. If this was the case, the feud between Qin Wentian and the 9 Emperors' immortal state would definitely be formed. Moreover, based on Qin Wentian's personality, Huang Yudi wouldn't be able to get away so easily. Then, the feud between them would definitely be irresolvable. What do you want? Huang Wudi stared at Qin Wentian and said. Scram. Qin Wentian spat out a word and told the people of the 9 Emperors' immortal state to scram. Arranged battle? The experts of the 9 Emperors' immortal state and the Thunder God Hall obviously wanted to suppress Jun Mengchen's group. What kind of arranged battle was this? If it was a real arranged battle, it would be a one-on-one battle with people of the same realm. However, previously, Huang Yudi attacked Jun Mengchen and forced Jun Mengchen to say that sentence. Was this considered a arranged battle? The people of the 9 Emperors' immortal state didn't care about the rules. They believed that strength was the rule. In that case, Qin Wentian didn't care about the rules either and told them to scram. Your junior brother and many of your sect members are here. If you touch him, I can also cripple some of them. Huang Wudi stared at Qin Wentian. Seems like your royal elder brother doesn't care about you at all. Your pride doesn't seem to be that important. Qin Wentian stared at Huang Yudi and laughed. He stretched out his palm as destructive energy gushed forth violently. Huang Yudi screamed in pain as he felt his immortal foundation trembling. He was so frightened that his entire body started to tremble. His eyes were filled with deep terror. Cracks appeared on his immortal foundation, and it seemed like it would collapse at any moment. No! Huang Yudi roared. He was the supreme genius of the 9 Emperors' immortal state, Huang Yudi. If he was crippled, he would become a pitiful worm in the 9 Emperors' immortal state. No one would even pity him. A cripple didn't have the qualifications to be part of the royal clan, especially the royal clan of the 9 Emperors' immortal state. Stop! Huang Wuti roared. Qin Wentian naturally wouldn't stop. The destructive energy continued to wreak havoc. He inclined his head and coldly stared at Huang Wuti. Against his enemies he had no fear, only ruthlessness. In theory, Huang Wuti naturally could capture Junmengchen to threaten Qin Wentian. But that was only in theory. No one would really dare to risk Huang Yuti's immortal foundation. Although Huang Yuti was crippled, he would definitely become a marginalized character in the immortal empire. Those who could save Huang Yuti but chose not to do so would also be punished severely. Let's go. Huang Wuti compromised. He stared at Qin Wentian. Let's hope he is safe and sound. If not, if the rules of the Sacred Academy don't punish you, you and your friends will have to pay for what they did to you. After speaking, Huang Wuti waved his hand and led the experts of the 9 Emperors' immortal state away. He was truly decisive. Staring at the departing experts of the 9 Emperors' immortal state, Huang Yuti stared at Qin Wentian. Release me? Release you? Qin Wentian stared at Huang Yuti and laughed. Do you still remember the words you wanted me to say earlier? In that case, you should at least tell everyone that you, Huang Yuti, were wrong. Qin Wentian didn't allow Huang Yuti to say anything too harsh. Although he really wanted to cripple Huang Yuti's immortal foundation right now, since this was the Sacred Academy, he still had to abide by some rules. Naturally, at the very least, he should consider Junmengchen and the others. After all, not everyone from the 9 Emperors' immortal state was trash. But he believed that for someone as arrogant as Huang Yuti, admitting his mistake was something he would never forget. Chapter 1163. Huang Yuti's entire body was trembling, not only because of the pain but also because of the boundless humiliation he felt. Qin Wentian wanted him to admit his mistakes. As a supreme genius of the 9 Emperors' immortal state, when has anyone ever made him admit his mistakes before? Huang Yuti, how could he be wrong? He was destined to be extraordinary from birth and had experienced all sorts of tempering his temperament. His entire life seemed to be perfect and flawless. Once he admitted his mistakes, would he still be himself? Today, the humiliation of this defeat was like a knife cutting into his body. If he admitted his mistakes, it would be like using a sharp sword to scrape his wounds, leaving behind an unforgettable scar. Would he still have the conviction to pursue that supreme realm? Would he still be able to pursue the path of an ancient emperor? No, Huang Yuti wouldn't admit his mistakes. Qin Wentian wouldn't dare to kill him. The humiliation today, I will engrave it in my heart. Also, my 9 Emperors' immortal state has already admitted defeat and retreated from this place. You actually want me to admit my mistakes? Is this even possible? Huang Yuti coldly spoke. Is it not possible? Qin Wentian's eyes were as cold as ever. Destructive energy ravaged Huang Yuti's body, crushing his immortal foundation. As long as he willed it, he could destroy Huang Yuti's immortal foundation. Since you are defeated, you will have to pay the price for your arrogance. Announce to everyone that you are wrong. Qin Wentian's voice was like a sharp blade cutting into Huang Yuti's body. The destructive energy howled ferociously as Huang Yuti's immortal foundation was enveloped by it. There were actually signs that it was about to shatter. If his immortal foundation shattered, Huang Yuti would become a cripple. Just because you want me to admit my mistakes, you want to go against the rules of the Sacred Academy and offend the 9 Emperors' immortal state to death? Huang Yuti roared. I don't believe you would do something so crazy. Boom! An even stronger destructive might gushed forth. Qin Wentian's sharp claws lifted Huang Yuti up into the air as screams of agony rang out. Huang Yuti's immortal foundation was on the verge of shattering. Cracking sounds rang out unceasingly as his immortal energy dissipated unceasingly. The destructive might left thousands of holes in his immortal foundation. I'll only give you 3 breaths of time, Qin Wentian said indifferently. How dare you? Huang Yuti roared. His eyes gleamed with a blood-red light as the destructive might grew even more intense. Huang Yuti was truly terrified now. He could already sense cracks appearing on his immortal foundation. As long as Qin Wentian increased his destructive might slightly, this supreme genius would become a cripple. Everyone felt their hearts trembling when they saw this scene. This Qin Wentian was truly crazy. He defeated Huang Yuti and humiliated him so miserably. Now, he even wanted Huang Jiudi to admit that he was wrong. He wanted to crush Huang Jiudi's mental state, causing Huang Jiudi to be unable to recover from this setback. Naturally, based on the arrogance Huang Jiudi displayed earlier, as well as the words he wanted Qin Wentian to say, Qin Wentian's actions weren't overboard. Because if he was defeated, Huang Jiudi would treat him even more cruelly. What was shocking was Qin Wentian's insane courage. This place was the Sacred Academy, and the Sacred Academy had its rules. As for Huang Jiudi, he was a supreme genius of the 9 Emperors' immortal state. He was the younger brother of Huang Wudi, the younger brother of that person. Speak! An ice-cold voice rang out once more. After that, everyone only heard Huang Jiudi using all the strength in his body to roar. I was wrong. This roar seemed to express all the humiliation he felt. As the sound of his voice faded, the destructive energy in Qin Wentian's hands vanished. However, Huang Jiudi's countenance was as pale as dead ashes. The arrogant and conceited Huang Jiudi was defeated so miserably. Not only that, he had to endure such humiliation, and he had to say these 3 words. The him now, was he still the invincible Huang Jiudi in the world? Qin Wentian's sharp claws loosened and he reverted to his original appearance. Huang Jiudi's body fell from the sky above the ancient palace and let out a dull thud. Not long ago, Huang Jiudi was thrown onto the ground by Qin Wentian like a pig or a dog. In addition to everything that happened before, everything that happened in this short period of time was probably enough to become a nightmare for Huang Jiudi for the rest of his life. If he was unable to pull himself together, Huang Jiudi would no longer be the Huang Jiudi who was a match for everyone under the heavens. He would no longer have the confidence and courage he had in the past. His confidence and his pride would all be crushed in this battle. However, in Qin Wentian's eyes, it was as if Huang Jiudi didn't exist at all. He raised his head and looked at the expert from the Thunder God Palace, Leiba. At this moment he wouldn't look for Leiba to fight. Although the people from the 9 Emperors' immortal state had already retreated, they could return at any time. Furthermore, their formation didn't have the advantage. Hence, he would temporarily remember this grudge. Back then, you must have been as arrogant as Huang Jiudi. However, I hope you will remember the tragedy that Huang Jiudi suffered today. One day, when I really want to face you, your ending might be even worse than Huang Jiudi's, Qin Wentian said indifferently. Then he looked at Junmengchen and the others. Let's go. As soon as he finished speaking, the group of people left without any reluctance. The so-called battle was just one battle, the battle between Qin Wentian and Huang Jiudi. However, just this battle alone was enough to shock everyone. The might of thunder shone on Leiba's body, as if it wanted to destroy the void. His eyes contained terrifying lightning as he stared at Qin Wentian. If it was before this battle, he wouldn't care about Qin Wentian's words at all. However, in this battle, Qin Wentian's insanity and indifference were enough to make people remember him. Even someone as strong as Leiba's faith was shaken. Just like before, he thought that Huang Jiudi would make Qin Wentian suffer an unforgettable humiliation. However, the ending was completely opposite. For such a person, even if it was Leiba, he wouldn't be able to ignore his threat. Boom! A bolt of thunder slashed through the air. Leiba's proud figure grew even more imposing as an intense battle intent flashed in his eyes. Since he had no way to ignore Qin Wentian's threat, he might as well destroy this threat before it matured. Although Qin Wentian was already very strong and could defeat Huang Jiudi, he was still Leiba, the son of the Thunder God. Leiba was at the 8th level of Immortal Foundation. No matter how strong Qin Wentian's combat prowess was, it was impossible for him to win against him. To think that someone with a perfect Immortal Foundation would actually be even more arrogant compared to Huang Jiudi. Everyone mused silently as they stared at the departing back of Qin Wentian. Although before this, Huang Jiudi was incomparably arrogant and Qin Wentian was only passively resisting. But after the dust settled, everyone could sense what sort of character Qin Wentian was. Royal sister, it seems like it's not like what you've imagined. Several experts from the Shooting Sun Kingdom stood together. That prince spoke to the princess who brought Qin Wentian here. The beautiful eyes of the princess from the Shooting Sun Kingdom flickered. She was truly taken aback. Not only did Qin Wentian not suffer the humiliation she had imagined, he even managed to humiliate Huang Jiudi before leaving unscathed. However, this matter was far from over. What would be waiting for Qin Wentian next? Since he is fine, the grudge between me and him shall be written off. From this battle not only did I see his strength, I can also see how much he cares about the Evergreen Princess. However, that simple sentence spoken by that elder brother of Huang Jiudi was extremely heavy. Even Leiba chose to give up. What Qin Wentian has to face isn't as simple as another Huang Jiudi. After the princess of the Shooting Sun Kingdom spoke, she turned and departed. Since she said that she brought Qin Wentian here, the grudge between them had been settled. Naturally, the debt between them was cleared. After Qin Wentian and the others left, they sped towards the sky-connecting realm in the center of the 4 sacred academies. Right now, this sky-connecting realm was the passageway to the other sacred academies. Qing'er wasn't in this sacred academy. In the sacred academy Qing'er was in, there was a misty ancient mountain peak. On the peak, a young man could be seen sitting in the air. Around him, droplets of rain cascaded down. The young man sat there, allowing the raindrops to land on him, yet they had no way to wet his robes. The ancient peak was incomparably quiet. There were actually very few people here. At this moment, several powerful silhouettes flickered as they flew over. They merely stood at the boundary of the ancient peak before stopping, staring at the raindrops before them with a deep sense of trepidation in their eyes. These figures quietly stood there. Nobody dared to disturb the cultivation of that young man. Even in the sacred academy, they were all incomparably powerful cultivators, able to summon the wind and summon the rain, radiating an emperor-grade immortal light. After a few hours, the place became quiet. There was no sound at all. Those people just stood there and watched quietly. What's the matter? Finally, a voice rang out from the ancient peak. It was none other than the young man sitting in the air who spoke. So it turned out that those geniuses who came here had waited for several hours, waiting for this young man to take the initiative to speak. Given their attitudes, it was as though as long as the young man didn't speak, they would never disturb him, even if it was something extremely important. Prince Di was injured in another sacred academy. One of them spoke. The young man furrowed his brows as though he was unhappy. This place was the Tiandao Sacred Academy, and Huang Yudi was his younger brother. Although Huang Yudi was rarely defeated and rarely injured, it was normal for him to be injured when he fought with others. Was there a need to disturb him for such a minor matter? As he frowned, the raindrops in the air abruptly sped up, gleaming with sharpness. Those people could sense the unhappiness of the young man. They hurriedly spoke. Back then you said that the daughter of the Evergreen Immortal Emperor wasn't bad. For this, Prince Di felt that this was some sort of hint. He wanted the man who liked the princess to admit that she was your woman. The frown on the young man's face deepened. Not bad means not bad. What is he thinking? It's fine if he wants others to admit it. But the problem is, why did he still lose? Isn't he just seeking his own humiliation? The young man didn't seem to care about what Huang Yudi did or if he was injured. What he cared about was that Huang Yudi had done such a thing. Why was he still defeated? That young man was none other than the person who possessed a saint-grade immortal foundation, Qin Wentian of the Immortal Qianbian Gate. His cultivation base is at the 5th level and he defeated Prince Di. Not only that, he even humiliated Prince Di, forcing him to admit his mistakes. That person spoke. Although the young man was frowning, he didn't have much of a reaction. After a moment of silence he spoke. It's fine for him to be defeated as well. He can temper himself well and make a breakthrough in his state of heart. As for that person who possessed a saint-grade immortal foundation, since he was able to defeat Prince Di, it's no wonder he dared to be so arrogant. It's just that to be jealous of a woman, this saint-grade immortal foundation is truly a waste. As he spoke, he slowly stood up. At this instant, the raindrops transformed into incomparably sharp swords that rained down on the young man, terrifying to the extreme. However, immortal light shone around the young man as he leisurely strolled through the rain of swords. When the rain of swords slammed into him, they directly passed through him, unable to injure him at all. The spectators on the ancient peak were all stunned when they saw this scene. But when they thought about who this young man was, they understood. Prince Di's misunderstanding caused many people in the Sacred Academy to misunderstand your words. Do you need an explanation? Person asked. Why do I need an explanation? The eyes of the young man flashed. gleaming with sharpness that was even sharper than swords. There's already someone who wanted to humiliate the people of the 9 emperors' immortal state. In that case, let's turn this misunderstanding into reality. The young man calmly spoke.